Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 206. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V here on the last day in July.
It is the last day of July, almost August 1st. August is going to be a busy month for us. We've got the Ledgestone and the MVP Open coming up for live broadcasts. We just got done with AM Worlds.
AM Worlds just got done. Pro Masters
Worlds is coming up.
I think I'll be at that. And I feel like there's one more thing going on at some point here in the middle of August. But no, that might consume just about every weekend. So looking ahead to being maybe home for 4 or 5 or 8 days in August. Certainly crazy time for sure. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. We're going to have a couple of very special guests. As you just mentioned, a reference to August. August is also going to be hosting, I believe, National Disc Golf Day. I think it's called National, or is it International or Worldwide Disc Golf Day?
That might be tomorrow.
No, it's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
And we're going to catch up with Jason Wilder, I think possibly come after show-ish time frame. A little later, we'll catch up with Jason Wilder, who I think had a lot to do with that existence in the first place, him along with Sarah Nicholson. So that's much later in the show. Before that, we're going to have Dynamite join us for the next 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes. Then we're going to have our women's world champion, Alexis Mandujano. She's going to be joining us right around 9:30 Central. And then sometime after we speak to her, we're going to have our men's advanced champion, Luke Humphreys, join us. So jam-packed night. I'm also going to give you a few updates and details regarding the next gen. Not only am I hosting one this upcoming weekend during the National Disc Golf Day and this weekend, but also one just took place. So I have a little read and some updates that I want to give you guys that were passed along to me. So lots of AM golf, lots of pro golf, lots of action going on this last weekend, and looking forward to it.
Someone brings up, and this will be the only time I want to mention it tonight. Someone says, let's get right to the bagging. I believe he's talking about sandbagging, this and that.
Sure. It'd be weird if it was some other kind of bagging.
That's true. No talk of that tonight.
No talk of it, or are we going to address it now?
No talk of it. We're done with it for tonight. We discussed it last week. We had, all this other stuff. I think tonight is a good night to just celebrate the winners, celebrate Luke, celebrate Alexis. Thank you. I wanted to say her sister's name, and it was flying around in my mouth. So yeah, I don't want to talk about any bagging tonight. I think we're just going to celebrate winners for the amateur championships. That's a discussion we can have any other night rather than tonight, I think.
Well, either way, it was a great week, and I'll get into more details about the week. I had a great time. Thank you to the PDGA. Thank you to, of course, the Charlotte staff. Thank you to Innova, who was a driving sponsor, kind of like a presenting sponsor. Thank you to Legacy, who was also a sponsor and helping with some of my coverage as the week unfolded. So lots of good stuff. We'll touch on a little bit of that after we get a few additional updates from Dana as to maybe what took place around the pro scene, so to speak, or maybe some of the other tournaments that were going on. So that's about all I got.
All right.
I could ramble for hours, but
I know you could.
I think we can get right to Dana, and he can give us some info so we can stay on point and get to Alexis at 9:30. It'll be her first time as one of our guests. So looking forward to it.
All right.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dana might finish that. Oh, he's got it.
Yo.
How's it going?
Definitely not Dana Light, as in lights. Do we need to send you a set of lights as well, Dana?
Really? Oh, yeah, one of the lights in here is out. Is it really dark?
Just because
you're always dark every single week.
You're wearing the hat, so it kind of you got a little shade in your face, and
it's beautiful.
We'll send you a nice 3-point light system. You'll be set. It'll be great.
Anyway, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'd be better if I had my hat on, but
there you go.
Nice day here in Illinois. Nice night, good weather. We had a sports camp with Edith, so that was earlier tonight. A lot of fun. About 20 2 and 3-year-olds running around trying to play kickball. Pretty wild stuff. You know how that goes, Terry.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all at one point can say you experience that frustration. You just want them to like pay a little bit of attention, and you want them to like kind of care just a little bit and take it somewhat seriously. But as we all know, everyone's attention spans at that age, or even as they get older, seem to drift. And what should be a very simple out or a simple kick or a simple tag all just goes out the window. I'm too impatient for that. Definitely.
We're talking 3-year-olds here too.
I know.
But, so I got a question before we get into disc golf results. So Edith, she was helping the teacher pitch. So she was rolling the ball, to home plate, and they're playing kickball. And this kid kicks the ball, and it just smokes Edith right in the face. And I'm over sitting on the sidelines with Lucy, and I'm dying laughing, and parents are looking at me like, who's this guy laughing? And I'm just continuing laughing, and like, it's my kid. It's all right. I can laugh.
You can laugh no matter whose kid it is. As long as you feel there's no serious injury, I don't care whose kid that is, you laugh.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I thought anyway, but Edith was clearly, she was crying. But she was okay. It was a lot of fun night at sports camp.
Sweet.
So
and I'm going to make a quick plug. It's similar to sports camp tomorrow night in Wisconsin here. As I was prepping, it's going to be our 10th or 11th year for the Germantown Youth Futures, which is this awesome event that our Park and Recs department ultimately puts on. It was one I helped start 10 years ago when I had designed and fundraised for the course, and it's getting the exact use that we want for it. So when people say things like, oh, well, that course is stupid, or it's a waste of baskets, or it's a waste of space, like tomorrow night, it always continues to validate just what that course, because it's located just 5 minutes from some championship caliber courses. People are like, why don't you just add 9 holes to that property? And it's like, because this property
already has 27.
Yeah, it has, this property here has 9 holes under 250 feet, and every single kid in the neighborhood can ride their bike to it, and that's what it's used for. And tomorrow night we have a free outing over there, which I was getting ready for today. So when you speak sports camp, I get excited about things like tomorrow night and the demonstration and the clinic and everything we put on out there tomorrow. All right, Dana, though.
On that same subject, those types of courses are so important for the growth of disc golf. We need to get kids playing and families playing, and that kind of course is perfect for kids and families. So good work, Terry. I appreciate that.
Were you able to get on the PDGA website today to get all your updates?
Get your ratings
and
I
your
know
ratings.
You were,
I heard there were some little issues with some outages, and
I went on. Paying PDGA fees for, Johnny?
Yeah, man.
Man, you would think.
Go to.
God, like, how many times have they done this? Can't they just get it right? It's fun.
So PDGA, what of course Johnny's alluding to, for those who may not be in the know, PDGA did announce and release today that the new ratings are out. Of course, what that does, as soon as it's recognized or realized, everyone that even remotely sees it or thinks about it has to immediately jump out to the PDGA website.
As I did.
Therefore, putting in a bunch of queries to the site. I don't know all the back-end stuff. Of course, they've had to ramp up for this more and more throughout all the years.
I just keep hitting refresh.
Yes,
I hope that helps.
Exactly. Just like UDisc will tell you. Just hit refresh a million times, just like you're buying concert tickets. And then eventually, it said the site was undergoing maintenance. I'm guessing it was getting hit maybe harder than normal, or something like that. Or maybe something actually was legitimately had just kind of glitched out. And, of course, they got it addressed. And by the time I had to go check some scores for the AM World stuff, it was all up and running just fine for me. So, but hopefully you saw everything, Dana. What did you see this weekend? There's some events not too far from you.
Yeah. We had the Des Moines Challenge over in Iowa, right down the road, right down I-80. Kind of an old school style event, 8-tier. They're playing 4 rounds of 18 holes, 4 different courses. So lot of disc golf. Des Moines, widely hailed as one of the best worlds ever. I think 2004, if memory is that right? Was that?
That's what everybody says. Yeah.
I vaguely recall that.
Little before my disc golfing time, but I know enough to know that everyone hypes up that World Championships. I've only played a few of the courses in Des Moines, but there was a 55-person pro field over there in Des Moines, and they played 4 different courses, really tough courses, world-class style. And Kevin Jones came over from Idlewild, came over from Kentucky, and he was leading through 3 rounds, but in the end, he was not able to hold on. It was a really tight race between him, Andrew Presnell, MJ, Adam Hammis was right there. Colton Montgomery was a couple out going into the final round. But when it was all said and done, Terry Roethlisberger, who's gotten second, I believe, 2 times in a row at the Des Moines Challenge, he at least got second last year. Terry, in the end, was able to beat him with a 10:48 final rated round. Kevin Jones shot a 10:39 rated round. So sounded like, it looks on paper like they were shooting some really, really good golf. And Terry was able to snag the 1-throw victory over Kevin Jones. Andrew Presnell, aka the Pretzel, from what I've seen, he finished in 3rd place. MJ, Michael Johansson, finished in 4th. MJ didn't have that great of a first day, but then he came out round 3 and just slaughtered the course. He shot a 45, and the next best was a 48 by Illinois' Tom Earhart, brother of Brian Earhart. But Jacob Sanders tied for 5th with Adam Hammis. So congratulations to Terry Roethlisberger. He's a good kid, a lot of fun to hang out with. Really good disc golfer. He went 1040, 1014, 1031, 1048. Got himself a little $1,250 payday. Kevin Jones, $1,000 for 2nd place. Not quite what he was going for, but if you can go play disc golf for a weekend and walk away with $1,000 before bonuses, that's a good thing. On the women's side, 10-person field. Had some stars there, and at the end of the day, it was Katrina Allen winning by 10 throws over Holly Finley, and then Holly was 10 throws over 3rd place with Lisa
Fakis. Nailed it.
She's back. It looks like, I think Lisa took a little bit of time off, so maybe a little bit of rust there, but Lisa finished in 3rd place, Lauren Butler in 4th place. So congratulations to the winners there. Katrina, on her way to that 10-throw win, went 928, 969, 944, and 965. So overall, pretty solid weekend, $625. Yeah, that's disc golf rich right there. So congratulations again to Terry and Katrina. Also, relatively close, Charlie Vettner Open / Wendell Moore Open. This was down in Louisville, Kentucky. We saw a number of players come from the Idlewild, make their way down just to Louisville. Pretty short drive. And on the women's side, they had 9 total players, and Paige Bierkes, much like in Iowa, got with Katrina, she got a 10-throw win, and she rode her way to victory with a round 1 that's unofficially rated 1001. I'd have to go check, but I'm going to assume that's probably her best round ever, if not one of the best rounds ever. So congratulations to Paige, right, for playing some really solid golf. She went 1001, 921, 940. Ellen Woodboom, don't know if I pronounced that correctly. She finished in 2nd place. Rebecca Cox 3rd, and Jessica Weiss in 4th place. on the men's side, Chris Dickerson doing what Chris Dickerson does, playing some really good disc golf. And I was actually talking to Chris there on a backup at the Idlewild Open another weekend. We were talking about his wild start to the year, and then if he was going to actually, talking about Jonesboro and him going into that with that huge streak. And he's a pretty modest guy. If you haven't met him, he's really good people, very modest. But he didn't know how many tournaments he's won this year or how many he had won in a row and all that. But he got back in the winner's circle here in a big way.
I have to wonder if he's going to be the player with the most wins, the pro player with the most wins at the end of the season. The most victories. I mean, he has what?
On the men's side. Or you think women's too?
He's at like 24 or 23 wins this season.
Really?
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, he just and a lot of them are local wins. Not that I'm taking anything away, but some of them are bigger.
Got a lot of C tier,
a couple C tiers and things like that. But he's got a couple big A tiers under his belt. Tennessee State. He started out with some B's and C's. I'm just, he won the Hambrick. Obviously the Charlie. I think he might be the most winning player this year as far as victories. Now, again, you want to weight them based on the quality of player and X, Y, and Z. That's fine, but I think he's going to rack up the most wins of the entire season over any other player.
Yeah, he might.
That's a pretty good guess. Yeah, he's just terrorizing the Southeast right now, and he's beating. There's so many good players too. Like he goes over to North Carolina and South Carolina, and he's playing against MJ and Barry and all the other great players around there, and he's coming out with wins. So it's not like they're soft. They're not soft wins. He's beating good players at these events, and this weekend at Charlie Vettner, he beat James Conrad by 3 throws total. He had a 2-throw win or a 2-throw lead going into the finals. They did a little final 9 there, and he beat James by a stick. And then Matty O, back out on tour, I think, for a little bit right now, finished in 3rd place, 1 throw behind James. And Alex Russell finished in a tie with Matty O in 3rd place. Finished in 5th place, Grady Shue, Double G, Drew Gibson, and Zach Melton. Cameron Colbazer followed those guys. So that was a 48-person pro field, a lot of talent there. And I'd assume a lot of those guys are just heading right up the road to Nashville for the Music City Open this coming weekend. So we'll see what Chris can do there that weekend against a stacked field. Looks like there's 61 total players signed up for the Music City Open with probably 15,000 plus rated players. And with that
still
said,
the highest rated player there.
And and Will Schustrick. I think this is of note. I just noticed this, but Will back in the 1,000 rated club. Good to see. He's been playing. He's kind of had a resurgence as of late. We saw him win over in Europe in Estonia, and then he went to the Konopiste Open and played some really solid golf there. And that was right after a 2nd place finish at the King of the Hill. So let's hope that Will's shoulder continues to heal and his game comes back, because man, disc golf's a lot more fun to watch when there's a number of players competing for the win, and it would be great to see Will's name in that mix. So
Will has never been the strongest putter on tour, but I would be hard pressed to say in his prime if there was anyone that threw the disc more, that threw lines as well as he did. Like he's such a phenomenal driver. Pinpoint accuracy it's kind of gross to watch, but that kid can throw, hands down.
Yeah, he's good people, and he can throw a disc with the best of them. Let's just hope that shoulder continues to get better, and if he throws a disc like he can and can make some putts, watch out. Who knows what'll happen? Maybe he'll snag himself another USDGC this year, but I definitely would not count Will out. We had a big event over in Finland at the new Tampere Disc Golf Center. 120 total players. This was the Finnish Nationals presented by Innova Champion and Frisbee Golfin. And winning it by a throw, he didn't win. He wasn't wire to wire after, I think, the third round. He was down a throw, but Leo Peronen was able to get himself a third Finnish title. He did so over Janne Hermeske and Vaino Michaela. Only 5 throwers ended up under par. Seppo Paju finished in 6th at even, and what kept Seppo from competing for the win was a really tough start. Seppo shot a 59 round 1, while Leo shot a 58. Leo, he smoked at that first round. That's a course record there, 1051 rated round, while Seppo's 69 was 979. But Seppo played really good over the remainder of the weekend. But I wonder if we'll see some video coming out of there. We saw the doubles match at their opening. It looks like a pretty cool facility. On the women's side, 20 total players, and Evelina Salonen, it looked like she was ready to just kind of roll and win every tournament over that way. But Henna Blumrose, her friend, had something else to say. Henna, she won pretty handily there. She won by, boy, my math isn't all that good, by maybe 8 throws, it looks like. And finishing in 3rd place was Anna Sophia Hypus, and Jenny Eskelin finished in 4th place. But Henna got herself a pretty big victory there. That's got to feel good, being from Finland and winning a Finnish title. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to Leo on his his 3rd victory at the Finnish Nationals.
I wish I knew a little bit more about the Open women overseas, because I don't know, maybe, and Chuck's on the board, and maybe he could attest to this. I wonder if it's harder for them to climb ratings-wise than it is for, like, Paige and Kat, because of the pool that's out there. Because as much as I thought that Evelina was going to, last year or the year before, was going to kind of be the dominant force over there, Henna is, A, rated higher than she is, and B, is playing right with her consistently. Like, the two of them seem to be going neck and neck, and it's a fun thing to watch. And I know we said it last week and the week before. I'd love to see him over here in the States. I'm sure it's not financially that reasonable for them, but ultimately it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and what I wanted to follow up real quickly and say, in looking just at their scores and seeing how we usually aren't blessed by their presence here in the States, to put them comparatively, look at their ratings, 942, 938. That's right there with, I'm just going off the top of my head. Jessica Weiss, Elisa Fakis. That's right there in line with a lot of those women. I'm assuming that Madison Walker's probably creeping up into that territory if she's not already there, somewhere in that area. So if you want to, just from a pure ratings perspective, take a comparison, you bring them over here and you find that on any given weekend, they're likely going to, of course, challenge Katrina and Valerie when she plays, and Paige Pierce, and Sarah Holcomb, so on and so forth. So it would be great to see them in the mix a little bit more. And as you just said, Johnny, not all economically feasible probably, but when given the opportunity, it'll be great to see them compete.
Chuck says, if you believe that playing with better players helps you play better, then the U.S. players have stronger fields. I'm not necessarily saying that. I always feel that when you're at the top of your game, that may be true for some lower-rated players, that you feel like when you play with someone better, But when you're at the top of the game, it shouldn't matter who you're playing with. You're playing against yourself and the course. I was more under the question of playing with the higher rated women. Would that help out their rating? Are they being suppressed slightly due to the field that they're playing against? But I don't know the answer to that. So,
yeah.
All right, Dynamite. What anything else that you saw out there besides the AM Worlds, which of course we're going to cover with our champions, and I'll probably elaborate from there.
Yeah, I know you guys wanted to talk some AM World stuff. I'll let you handle that, but I wanted to give a shout out to Nathan Lee out at Granite Mountain Disc Golf in Australia. They ran the Queensland Disc Golf Championships, and it looks like Darnley Pearson got a 3-throw win over Ken Kristen Tumjo in the Open Division. So congratulations to Darnley and to Nathan and his wife. Granite Mountain looks like an amazing place to play. I watched some of the videos, and there was a little bit of coverage, news coverage. Looks just like a really cool place to play, very unique. That's in Queensland, Australia. So shout out to Nathan. Keep up the good work. He had 50 total players make it out there. I know it's kind of out there and out of the way. So keep up the hard work, and keep growing disc golf out in that direction. You've got my attention. That course looks awesome.
Yeah, and he's always on the board, almost always on the board, and a big smashy. So great work out there. As you said, keep up the great work, and love to see more of it. Dynamite. So we got the Charlie Vettner. We also had the A tier in Des Moines, of course, the overseas stuff. Anything that jumps out at you real quick for this upcoming weekend that you got your eye on that's coming up? Am I going to see you hanging out a little bit in Crown Point? You going to come visit me?
Oh, no, I try to avoid Crown Point. No, I like playing disc golf up there, but no, this is a family weekend, and then the following weekend is Ledgestone, so got that coming up, and I've got some Discmania stuff. We've got a combine coming up in Madison this weekend, still some spots left, and then gonna head up to the Glide shop on Monday.
Nice.
And do a little video shoot, work with Mike back up there. So looking forward to that. I've got that on the horizon, but otherwise, no, I'll be non disc golf weekend other than that. So, but I'm really looking forward to Ledgestone. Seeing you guys. Got the St. Jude event on Wednesday out at Sunset, 3 p.m. We've got another great group of pro players. We've got Sarah Holcomb, Paige Pierce, Nate Sexton, and Austin from Discraft, and playing a 9-hole match where you buy raffle tickets, and they pick a new those pros pick a new partner for every hole, and play a little skins match. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Terry, you're going to be out there. Last year was a ton of fun. Lydia Lyons, young local, she kind of stole the show, threw a ton of great shots. That coverage is up on your YouTube channel. But that was a lot of fun. We raised quite a bit of money for St. Jude. If you guys have been listening at all over the last 3-4 years, you know that the Ledgestone event strives to donate lots of money to St. Jude, and this is my way to stay involved here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it is going to be very exciting. Of course, the Disc Golf Pro Tour returns next week, and just a quick heads up, we may even push our next week show instead of Tuesday. That may just push into Wednesday night, because that's already going to be madness, and then I'm going to be traveling down there. I'm going to be there an extra day, all that other stuff. So it may make more sense for us to actually have the booth set up immediately following the skins match that you just talked about. We'll get set up at sunset and hopefully just roll right into maybe getting the show going from there. So more than likely, stay tuned, but we'll more than likely be doing the podcast next week, the Ledgestone edition, and that will probably come in on Wednesday as opposed to Tuesday. So same great stuff, but we may have a few extra pros that could step in and join us because we'll be on site and on location already. So very much looking forward to it. And as you said, going to raise some money for St. Jude and have a really good week, as that's just a very special week on the calendar for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's 9:30. I know you guys got some big guests coming up. I'm interested to hear what they've got to say. I'm going to stay up and hear what these AM World champions have to say about this last weekend in Charlotte. Man, Charlotte Worlds, it seems like it was just yesterday. Good times. But Terry, Johnny, thanks for having me on. Smashies. Hopefully we'll see you next week from Peoria. And again, if you're going to be at the Ledgestone, come out to the St. Jude event. It is Wednesday at Sunset Hills Golf Course.
Looking forward to it, buddy.
All
right. We'll catch you later. Have a good night, Dana.
Thanks, Dana.
All righty. Dynamite, who is the MC/coordinator for that skins match to help raise money for St. Jude. All proceeds, every dime of it going to St. Jude. The last few years, Nate and Ledgestone have contributed. I believe each year they've contributed $20,000 for the last 2 or 3 years now. It's been just absurd how much money Nate and that event have ultimately generated to then make a contribution to St. Jude. So looking forward to having a little tiny part in doing the same again this year.
I know we were talking about Crown Point earlier. One of the biggest smashies on the planet is celebrating an anniversary today.
What?
Yeah. Someone who says that we're his favorite podcast.
Oh my gosh. He or she needs to self-evaluate.
It's a he celebrating an 8-year anniversary from winning the World Championships. Eric McCabe today.
Yes, that's right.
So
he did say that. I thought I heard him say something like, that was a dream and a goal of mine, only to be topped by being special guest on Smashbox. And
I think I heard him say he wished Smashbox was around back then because he felt like he missed on the opportunity to guest after winning Worlds, like
That's
a lot
true.
of people do.
That's true. So,
congratulations on that anniversary.
EMAC, I was honored to be there, as I've seen so many of our professionals and now amateurs throughout the years crown champion, and you at Crown Point did just that. It looks like we're trying to connect with Alexis, I believe.
Yep.
And Johnny's going to work on that. If he's going to continue to work on that, I want to read a few details about Crown Point this weekend. This is where I'm going to be. I'm hosting the Next Gen regional event, and then they had an event going on this last weekend, and I've got some details. I'm going to read through these relatively quickly. This is also not only to update you what happened, but to encourage you to come out for this weekend so you know what's going on. Obviously, they keep talking about the payouts because the payouts are ridiculously large besides the car and everything else. There was $30,000 in payout given this weekend. The Gladiator winner was Quinn Rodius. The Knight winner was Travis Callahan. The Saint winner, Anthony Roscoe. And all of them are going to Arizona. Quinn, Brian Van Fleet, and Nick Skal are all going to Arizona. It was the first premier event in the Northwest. It had 94 competitors from 4 states, including Alaska and Canada. It was held at Milo, which is awesome because they got the opportunity to play both the East and the West course, which is only usually done during the Beaver State, if I recall. Quinn Rodius is a finalist from last year's championship. He took the lead and was consistent, breaking par both rounds. And on his tail was fellow Washington golfer and finalist Jace Foster. I'm going to skip ahead here. In the finals, Van Leet played hot and kept Rodius honest. And ultimately, they both sit in qualifying spots. In the Knights, Callahan led the way and looked to take the overall final, but 2 strokes short. And in the same division, Roscoe led from start and claimed the battle. So awesome to see. The putting contest was won by Chance Stad for the first ever perfect score. And the distance was an upset. Returning distance champion Quinn Rodius, who was upset by Michael Robinson for a Ballista Pro and stole the title. So over $30,000 given out. And later we'll talk about the Mountain West Premier event where they gave out $16,000 in stuff. But we'll get back to that later. It's awesome. We'll see a lot of you at Crown Point. But now I think we're going to check in with Alexis and welcome our new AM World Advanced Women's Champion.
Yes.
How are we doing tonight?
Hi. Hello, how are you?
We're great. Johnny and Terry here. Welcome to the show. This is surprisingly your first time on the show,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I know I asked it in the video, which is releasing tomorrow for the final round. The semifinals are up, but how many world titles does that make for your household?
It makes 6.
6. Yeah. And does that even things out, or is it now 4-2, or is it 3-3?
Yeah, it evens it out. Yeah, 3-3. It's 3-3. Finally.
Okay. Finally, you say.
Finally, yeah.
Because how many years have you guys been playing?
I believe in October it'll be 6.
Okay, so I think you're doing all right. If you're averaging a world title every other year between the two of you, I think you're doing just fine. So, Alexis, tell us a little bit about the week for you, the experience. Mainly, I want to know from moving from the junior divisions, which I attended over in Emporia a few weeks ago, and then stepping into the premier advanced division, just the FA1, the advanced women's division. What was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool. Like the first few years, of course, versing girls our age. So it was like, okay, we'll see our skill level. And then come into a higher league, like other ladies older and more experienced. It was really cool. Honestly, I thought it was really cool. Especially versing my sister, first year of Worlds, competing together. So that was really cool.
Now, last year you got, last year you played in an age-protected division still, right? Or no?
Yeah.
And then your sister played in advanced, regular advanced women, right?
Yeah.
And then she ultimately had to withdraw. So, like you said, this was your first year going head-to-head. Talk about that. I mean, you guys are very delightful and polite, but talk a little bit about the rivalry between you.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It motivates us, honestly, just to get better every day, pushes each other, like, okay, let's see who's going to go exercise longer, who's going to putt longer, who's going to improve more in field work, just filming our form and just battling it out. I mean, it's really cool to have somebody, though, to motivate me every day just to keep going and going. So.
Well, and motivation is a theme for you guys. I think we both follow each other on Instagram, and you hit it right on the head. You're always going to the gym. Yeah, you guys have been training. You've been working hard. You're always out throwing and practicing. Where does that motivation? Is it always coming from your sister, or where else does that motivation come from?
Yeah, for sure. I would say from her, and especially the first 2 years was really sketchy for me because I took second both at Worlds. So it was kind of like that motivation from there. Just keep building, and finally winning these 3 years and like just improving every day. So.
Now, what's your rating? And then Valerie, who's your sister, who I've referenced, what's her rating? And did it change today for you guys?
Yeah, it changed today. Mine dropped these last few tournaments. I'm rated a 910, and she's a 905.
Okay, so for those that may not know, that 5-point difference is less than one stroke over the course of 10 rounds, I believe. If you two played 10 rounds against one another, you would beat, or she would beat you by a half stroke. You'd beat her by a half stroke. It's a half stroke difference. Yeah. So everybody thinks the points all matter, but they're a lot smaller than probably most people realize. So when I interviewed and caught up with you guys on Thursday, it was at the end of Thursday, which I think was the end of the 4th round, maybe.
Yeah.
Your sister, Valerie, she was in the lead, and I had a conversation with her, and we had a video from you guys on my channel. But how did those last couple of nights go? When you guys go back to the house or Airbnb or hotel or wherever you're staying, do you guys talk about like what you're going to do on the course the next day?
Yeah, for sure. We're just like, okay, let's see what we did this round, and then to improve the next one. Like, okay, we missed these putts in the circle. We got to make these the next one. We got to birdie more. Try not to bogey. Just have confidence in every shot we throw. Like, okay, we lack confidence in that shot. Just have confidence in that one. Make the putts, get birdies. Just keep going. Just like any bad shot, just forget about it.
Are either of you at all, I'll say, math or numbers or statistics driven? Do you guys think about that, or do you guys think about other things when you're analyzing your game? Are you guys analytical in that way?
Well, I don't know. But yeah, no.
Okay. I think sometimes, like before UDisc came along, we all kind of were always guessing as to how good someone is, and now these stats, and somebody can go back and look and say, oh yeah, I'm 34th in the world in putting, because of my stats. And some people really pay attention to those and some people don't care. What do, with like the new ratings coming out, what do ratings matter to you, or don't they?
Yeah, they matter to us for sure. By the end of this year, our rating, we would want it to be like a 950. That's the goal. We're like, okay, we got to be higher than each other, of course. So it was pretty cool passing her in rating these past few months. Just got to keep passing her. That's the goal.
What's been the difference? What are you doing better than her? What do you feel like maybe you're doing better than her, where you've caught her?
Yeah, I would say my driving improved a lot. Yeah, I would say driving for sure. I think my putting's been more consistent throughout the years, but I would say driving got a lot consistent.
So I've seen you guys for a number of years at the World Championships, but watching you guys and filming you guys this weekend, I learned a little bit more about your games. And is it true? Are you both pretty comfortable, both forehand and backhand? Was that a fair assessment?
Yeah, we're both really comfortable with both, I would say.
What are some of maybe the tips or the pointers you'd give someone? You guys have only been playing a few years. What are some of the tips and pointers you'd give to someone if they're thinking, well, should I really develop this, or how much time should I spend on forehand versus backhand? What would you say to them?
I would say practice both of them, but for backhand, I would say practice with a putter. I mean, I wish I would have started just with a putter, just practicing on form. I mean, I know it's hard starting out with somebody just like, okay, practice on form, but I would say a putter and then try sidearm too. I think sidearm is a big thing because a lot of ladies don't have a sidearm, so it will separate a lot. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Now, and just for clarification, you're 17 and your sister is 19. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you guys are at these events, it's always been a family ordeal. I've seen your mom and your dad, and I think more often than not we see your brother out there as well. Talk about that dynamic when you guys all travel together and what that means to you guys to be doing this as a family.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, family is number one for us. This is like the main reason why we started disc golf. We were into soccer, and my family started, my dad, honestly. And he showed it to us, and we're like, nah, we really don't like it. And we're like, you know what, let's just give it a try. I mean, the family does it, so we're like, let's keep going. Let's keep trying it. And we just improved. And we're like, okay, this is something we can keep going on. So we just kept going and going. It was just like a family thing we all did together. So that was pretty cool.
So and now who I saw at least this week, is that everybody, or do you have other family members? Your brother, your mom, your dad, and your sister?
Yeah, I have another older sister and an older brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're in Texas.
Okay, so when you guys are traveling around, is it also, do you guys kind of take like a vacation mentality to it as well? I mean, are you guys out sightseeing or going to amusement parks or water parks? Do you guys do a lot of that stuff, or is it usually kind of business, like we're getting somewhere, we're playing golf, and then we're moving to the next one?
Yeah, it's more like you said, more of a business, not really like sightseeing, okay, let's do this, let's do that. No, it's more like, okay, we came for one thing only, and just go from there, practice, win, and that's it.
Okay, so I saw on your accounts a few weeks ago, I think you guys said you were, or maybe it was Facebook, it passed me that you guys were in Illinois, I think, a few weeks ago. Yeah. And now you were just down in Charlotte, but then today when I reached out, you said you were going back to Illinois. Is that your disc golf summer home, or you have family up there as well?
Yeah, we have family. We came to visit some more family over here.
And is that how, if the detective work I do, is that put two and two together for the Cubs? Did I see there's a couple Cubs fans there? Yeah, my dad, my sister, my brother's a Cubs, and me, my mom, my other sister and brother is a Sox fan. Yeah, okay. Well, then we got right there. Yeah, we should probably stop right now then. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's pretty awesome. Now, what's next in terms of golf? I mean, I already think you're in Illinois. Ledgestone's next week. Is that where you're going? Is that something that's on your agenda or no? No, we won't play. We might be able just to see some teammates to support, just to watch them, but that'll probably be it. So how about your playing career? What is next for you guys? Is it continue to play in advanced women? Is it play it out through the end of the year? Is it pro? What's the plan? Yeah, okay. The rest of this year, the goal is to just play like men's intermediate, maybe advanced, maybe a few open local.
But for like the big tournaments, we'll like pick and choose maybe like next year just to go, just to get our game consistent or form down and just go from there.
So no official set way to do it.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, no big tournaments this year.
No declaration of I'm playing open from here on out or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next on your goals? I mean, you guys both have 3 world titles. You know, by the age before either of you were 18 there. What's next on your goals? I know you're talked about your rating, but in terms of wins or accomplishments on the course, what do you have lined up next?
I would say our next goal was just to be top 5. Like really, honestly, work really hard and get our form down, be really consistent, mentally strong, and be ready for next year to be top 5. I don't want to play open and be at the bottom. I want to be on top. That's the goal.
Do you feel like the successes you've had at the amateur ranks will provide you some good experience for when you go into open? Because, and what I mean by that is, I feel like we see sometimes people win maybe a large amateur event like this, but then, like you said, they go into the pro ranks, but they're not necessarily comfortable. They're there because they feel like they need to be there. And maybe they don't really know how to win or how to lose. They don't know, how to do some of that. Is that maybe where you're going with that, or are you trying to hone that in?
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of people just rush into open because a lot of people are like, okay, your rating's here, there. A lot of people's like, you should play open. No, I feel like it's when we're ready, we're like, okay, we feel confident, we feel ready to go, and we'll just play when we're ready.
Is there any unofficial pact that when one of you plays open, the other one will as well? Is that a thing?
Yeah, we're kind of like, okay, we'll do it together. We'll both play the same open tournament together.
Now, do you feel like maybe you get a little bit of I don't want to say a pass. I mean, obviously terms like sandbagger, and we said we're not even going to talk about bagging, but terms like that, do you feel like maybe you get a little more leniency or a pass because you're still relatively young? Do you feel like maybe people don't give you as much of a hard time because even though you're good, you're still really young, or do you get a hard time a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I still get a hard time from locals. They're like, yeah, you guys should play open. You guys go, do it. You guys are ready. I'm like, no, we're not ready. Especially not. I'm like, no, I'm not ready. I think next year for sure.
Okay. Now, I have my observation and idea of this, but I'd like to hear from you. Who influences you, or who has influenced your game in terms of when you go out and play? Are there men or women that you feel like, hey, I really like what they do and I'd like to emulate them?
Yeah, for sure. I would say Paul Macbeth, of course, and Bradley Williams. Them two, me and my sister, like, look up to, for sure. Bradley was helping us with our form, which still is helping us. Well, me, Valerie passed. So I'm still working on my form with Bradley, and Paul's helping us with our footwork. So that's pretty cool. We look up to them two the most, I would say.
And I just have to say, when people watch the semifinals and the finals, it's so obvious, and that's
Really?
it's truly a compliment. The way you guys specifically, and I knew you would, I assumed you would say Bradley too. To me, Paul's obvious. You kind of hold your putter in a similar stance, and before you get ready to putt. But in your reach back and how you guys get yourselves ready for throwing approach shots, that is Bradley Williams all day long. And that's a compliment because Bradley Williams is one of the smoothest throwing individuals, to ever throw a disc, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
So to me, it was 100% obvious, those two names. I didn't know if there were others, but those two names for sure. When you go out and practice, what are some of the things that you guys do? Because I feel like you don't just say, well, we play, 90 holes of golf in a day.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you do go out and do?
Okay, this is the routine. We wake up 6, go to the gym for like an hour or 2. After that, we, of course, have breakfast. Then we do field work for like 2 to 3 hours. It depends. After that, we do a round. After that, later on, we do putting as long as we feel like it. But I would say a lot of field work. That's what we work on the most, I would say. We do a lot of field work.
And by field work, that's forehands, backhands, anheisers, Hausers, probably a little bit of everything.
Grenades, thumbers, rollers, trying different shots.
Wow.
Yeah. Where do you feel like you have the room for the most improvement right now? What is something like if you were tomorrow morning when you go out to the field? What's something you're like, you know what? It's time to really address this. What is that?
I think my footwork. We're working on that with Paul this week, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. It's my next step. I'm gonna get it down.
Huh. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say when you and your sister drive, that's when I see the biggest differences in how you guys, and not your forehands. Your forehands are very similar, but your backhands, when you step up to drive, I think that's where I do see a little bit of a difference between the two.
Yeah.
Do you and your sister, I know you really push one another, do you ever analyze and critique one another where you're like, hey, it looked like you didn't reach back far enough, or it looks like you lifted your shoulder or your head, or you didn't twist your hip or whatever? Do you say that kind of stuff to one another?
Yeah, we do. We record each other a lot. We're like, okay, you're doing this wrong. I mean, of course, we get frustrated at each other, but we're like, okay, this is going to help us, of course, in the long run. But yeah, for sure, we get frustrated. Especially for me, I have no patience, so it's helping me so much get patience. So she's like, you're dropping your elbow, pick it up. I was like, okay, I got this. That's pretty cool.
Do you think you could travel with your sister on like a tour? Would you guys make it like an entire year? I don't know what type of sibling relationship you have.
Yeah.
Do you think, when assuming at some point you both go pro, is that something you see doing, is traveling with your sister?
Yeah, I would see doing it with her. My parents are like, don't leave me here. I want to go on tour. I want to see the world too.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, my sister.
Well, and seeing, like I said, your parents and then your brother, how invest, I mean, the whole time I saw you guys this weekend, I'm always looking at your parents and your brother to see what the reactions are. Your mother was caddying for you, your brother was caddying for Valerie, and your dad was, always right there in the mix. And I'm trying to get a read, like, how can a parent be sitting here watching this as the two of you are battling it out in the same division? That's what did they say about it this week?
They were like, okay, I'll be happy for the both of you. So, like, give it your all. Just keep playing your best. Just don't worry about anybody else. Play your best, and we'll be proud. So that was it.
That's nice of them.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be their favorite, I tell you. No. Another thing I noticed, and of course your sisters and I'm sure you're really good friends and close, as you guys are walking down fairways, you're talking to one another quite a bit. And that's something that I picked up on seeing. What are some of the things that you can recall that you talk? Are you talking about golf, or are you talking about non-golf stuff usually at those points?
It's both, I would say, because we look at a lot of quotes. So I tell her quotes. I'm like, okay, come on, we got to do this, we got to do that. Come on, we can do this. I'm like, come on, we came here for one thing, and we got to want it. We got to keep pushing. Just think of the quotes, think of the hard work, and it'll pay off. Just keep going. So just like different stuff just to keep us going, just keep pushing, I would say.
Well, there were a lot of moments where I caught you two, giving one another a smile or a fist bump, and that made me feel really good. I mean, I know you guys are in the heat of competition and you're battling it out with one another, but to also see what appeared to be very genuine sportsmanship and camaraderie and respect for one another is a testament to you guys, but very much so to your parents as well. It was awesome. So what's next? And by that, in terms of when you go to your next tournament, is there a new expectation on yourself? Do you feel like anything that's not a win, is that a letdown? How do you come off of that world's high, so to speak?
Yeah, I would say if I lose, it's like you lose and you learn. So it's like, okay, if I did this week and I lost, it's like, okay, it's fine. Just learn from it and just correct it for next tournament. Just keep learning and just go from there, I would say.
Okay. Any advice for your sister? And you won't rub it in at all that you beat her, will you? Or do you?
Maybe just a little. No,
That's okay. I think it's all right.
Well, when yeah, I guess everything else I was thinking of was just rivalry, and it almost feels silly asking you guys because I don't really see it, or maybe you can correct me, but I don't see anything remotely impolite between the two of you when it comes to what they're competing, or is there?
No, it's just like when we're putting, we're like, you missed that. I can't believe you just missed that. You're like, come on, this is for a tournament. Like, this is for GBO. There's OB behind. If you missed it, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe you just missed it. You're like, come on, you know you're better than that. And then we'll just push each other, just like mess around, like, oh my God, you're a scrub, or just different stuff. Just to push each other, just make it fun.
How are you two compared to your three travel mates, your parents and your brother? How are you guys compared to them skill wise?
I would say it would be me and Valerie, then my brother, my dad, and then my mom. My mom she plays as much as she can, but she's usually like trying to help with our stuff around the house and doing so much. I mean, of course, my dad works, but then my brother, so they try playing as much as possible. But like, okay, do you have to do this? Do you have to putt? You have to do field work. They're like, okay, I'm trying.
So let's fast forward 5 years. Again, you guys are 17 and 19 now, but fast forward 5 years. And we're having a conversation on July 31st, 2023. Where do you see as your life plan at that point? Are you touring? Are you done with college and only playing golf on weekends? Are you not doing it? What do you think you're doing in 5 years?
Yeah, I would say touring for sure. We want to look up some college classes too, like in the off season, I would say, like about fitness and health. But for sure, touring will be like number one. Want to be touring a lot, play a lot of big events. So.
Awesome. Do you have any events that are on your bucket list right now? Like events that you're like, oh yeah, by next year, this time, or in 2 years, within the next 2 years, we need to hit these 2 or 3 or 5 tournaments. What's on your bucket list?
I would say Memorial. There's a few other. Maybe the Vibro. I would say those two.
Okay.
For sure. I really like those. I thought those were pretty cool courses. Seeing these guys play, it's like, oh my gosh, that looks really cool.
Now, do you keep an eye on, the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the National Tour? Are you kind of watching those things, or is that something you haven't concerned yourself with as much?
Yeah, I watch it off and on. I try to watch as much golf as I can, or keep an eye on the tournaments. But yeah, it's off and on, I would say.
This might be a tough one, maybe not. Dream foursome on an FPO card. You fast forward to the Memorial next year. Who and you're in the final round, lead card. Who would you like, or maybe not like? Maybe that's a bad question. But who would you see yourself with going up against and at the Memorial?
I would say me, Valerie, of course. Maybe Paige and Sarah. I think that would be really cool.
Certainly. Very competitive.
Yeah.
Very
for sure.
Prestigious and competitive group there for sure.
Yeah.
So you said you're not playing this upcoming weekend, is that correct?
Yeah. If we go, we'll just probably watch.
Okay. When is the season start or finish for you? I mean, with being in Texas, seems like you're able to play golf all the time. Is there a start or a finish for you?
No, we could play most of the year. Of course, not tournaments all the year, but it's cold, but it's not that bad where we can't play. So obviously that's a good thing about Texas. So we play as much as we can. But tournament-wise, yeah, we'll try to see and play a few local tournaments. We go back. So we'll go from there.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to share with the world? I know you've got sponsors, or any other experiences or stories you want to talk about that, before I arrived and I got to experience what you guys saw. Well, I'll lead you right to one actually that I want to know. What about the rain? The rain that came in on Tuesday and Wednesday and ultimately was really gone by Thursday when I got to town, so I didn't experience any of that. What were some of those conditions like for those that just heard about it?
It was new. It was first. It was crazy. Like we played our first hole, we put out, and then it just starts pouring. We're like, oh my goodness. So it was like you can't even dry your disc. It was just terrible. The umbrella did nothing. It was crazy. My mom had my phone in her pocket, and it broke. So it was done from there.
Wow.
But yeah, it was crazy for sure. This is one to remember.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
And then how did how does it unfold that your mom was your caddy? I believe I would assume she was the whole week. Yeah, by what you just said, maybe. Your mom was your caddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, my brother caddied for round 1. My mom was just walking, and my dad was caddying for Valerie. But then we switched it up.
And how does that? Yeah, how does that get determined? That's what I want to know.
Valerie likes my brother to caddy for her. I like my brother caddy too, but she wanted him. She was being a little greedy that week, so I gave him to her.
You can have the brother. I'll take the trophy.
Wow.
I'll take the trophy this week. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And what does your brother do that would, not obviously we're not saying your mom and your dad aren't great, but what might your brother do that gives him the edge as being a caddy?
All 3 of us were so close, so like we always messed around. Like, oh, okay, you gotta make this. He like calms us down. He's like, okay, don't act like that. Don't say, oh my gosh, what if I miss this? Like, no, you got this. You can do it. Commit to your shots. He just keeps us going. Just keeps us in line. Like, okay, no, you're gonna do this. So that's pretty cool about that.
Okay, so he's very positive and tries to keep everyone calm and collected. Did at any point any of your caddies will say cross caddy? Did at any point your brother say something to you or your mother say something to Valerie that was trying to be helpful as well, or was it stay in your lane the whole way?
No, I mean we'll all try helping because Valerie was on lead card for 3 rounds and I was in second card.
Mm-hmm.
So when we finally made it together, we're like, okay, we got this. We're all just do us, just play our game. We're all each other. Okay, we got this. Stay calm. We're talking like amongst each other, just all of us.
Okay.
We're all just like get a game plan and execute it.
It's got to be nice for the parents. They don't have to split up. They can just all hang out together in one nice group.
Well, and again, the first day I got there, Thursday, Alexis, you were on second card. Valerie was on first card, and I was trying to capture a little bit of footage from both, and that's when I noticed, obviously the separation in caddies and and just the family split, so to speak. So you guys made it more convenient to all be on the same card at the end.
Yeah, it took me a while, but I finally got there.
Is it at all? Do you feel like it would be at all intimidating for other players to know that there's a pair of sisters that are obviously so close that then show up and it's like, it almost feels like, intimidating maybe would be a good word. Not that you guys are scary, but just the idea of, hey, there's 2 of them that are for sure going to be kind of on the same page together.
Yeah, I mean, a few people told us, but I don't know. I think we're really nice. We're pretty cool together, but yeah, a few people told us that.
Well, I can imagine that when it gets highly competitive in a particular card, we understand how I don't want to say tempers, but how attitudes can be towards a competitor. Assumingly, you wouldn't be that way with your sister. You, as a competitor, now look, and it's almost like you're playing against a doubles team who is there to support each other, and win or lose someone. Hopefully, they're rooting each other on. You don't have that kind of support with your other competitor. I don't see Sarah Holcomb and Paige Pierce being like, yeah, let's go, as opposed, on that dream card you have next year.
That was something. And then on top of it, you also have the support network of, your parents along with your brother. It's almost this, I don't want to say mob, but it's this entire, crew you have as you guys come walking down the fairway like, oh, here they come, and get out of their way. Is there any unfair or incorrect or unjust misconception out there? Is there anything out there that you feel like maybe you or your family or anyone misunderstands or maybe even incorrectly assumes about you guys? Is there anything out there that jumps out at you? I can't think of any, but I'm asking if you think there are.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Everybody knows what they get. Good. You and your sister both sponsored by Innova. Of course, Innova, a huge driving force behind the AM Worlds in Charlotte this year.
Yeah.
You guys speak of your support, as do all of our sponsored players, but some people were asking, can you kind of give us a quick rundown, like what were some of the go-tos in your bag this week? And we don't need every single disc and every single weight and foil color, but what are a couple of the go-tos for you guys, or for you specifically?
Our bag is pretty similar. So for me, for sure, it was the Nova. If I needed to get out, it was like Nova, Upshots, Nova for sure. Wraith, Destroyer, PD, Thunderbird, and Firebird, and Rock X3.
Okay.
I would say those.
And your sister, similar bag?
Yeah, she's really similar to my bag.
At any point, do you ever think, man, I'd love to go into her bag and grab her one Destroyer for this shot? Is there ever do you do that?
Yeah, she has what is it? Oh my goodness. It's a Destroyer, a green Destroyer. She has overstable one. Mine's getting beat in, and I was like, oh my goodness, I want her Destroyer.
I think if a disc ever goes missing at that in their bags, the first place to look is the other bag.
Going along with
going
along with having somebody there for you in the card, you're playing the Memorial. You chuck your Destroyer in the water, and you look over your sister and be like, hey, can I borrow yours?
She's going to be more likely to lend you one than
another competitor. I mean, that's another kind of built-in advantage there. And you know, odds are you're going to have a backup and whatever, but you never know. Just in case, it doesn't hurt to have that type of support. So that's kind of an awesome thing.
And when you're when we're talking about your discs, do you have a weight preference? Do you stay in a certain range? Does weight matter as much to you when you're going out to pick out specific discs? What is your style?
Yeah. For mids and putters, it's max weight. For fairways, it would depend. Like PD, Thunderbird, those are max weight. For distance, like Destroyers and stuff, it would be like, I think the lowest I have in my bag is a 170 or 169 to 175.
Okay, so not necessarily. You don't get into some of the Starlight or some of the Blizzard or any of that stuff. It sounds like you're pretty straight up with the traditional stuff. And if you were tomorrow, if you were giving a demonstration to a group of 10-year-old girls, 10-year-olds, what give us a tip or a pointer that you would want to make sure to share with these 10-year-old girls?
I would say is to have fun. That's the main thing I would say. To have fun and enjoy yourself. So that's what I would say.
And if they said, all right, I'm having fun, but I want to throw better, then what would you say to them?
I would say throw an XT Nova.
Okay. Okay. So learn the smooth form, learn how to throw the disc, and then graduate from there. And that's a very logical. I can appreciate that. All right, Alexis, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? This is a totally open-ended question. Anything you want to tell the world and share with everyone out there, we'd love to hear it.
No, not really. Just not really anything really much.
Sponsors you want to thank?
Oh, of course, thanks my family, Innova, Joe Tan, Jonathan Poole, Jeff Panis. Yeah, that would be it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us. I know you're traveling around and riding high on coming off another World Championships win, but thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving some insights and some of your background. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Have a great night. Thanks. You.
Thank you. You guys too.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye. All right. Your FA1. I'm still getting used to I do challenge myself. Do I refer to the Advanced Women's winner as the FA1 winner or Advanced Women? And it really comes from
an old school mentality.
Exactly. Like,
when we were it was ingrained in us for like 10 or 12 years, maybe even longer than that before they actually went to FA1. It was just called Advanced Women. It's hard to break those brain bonds.
Yeah, it's great to, and as said on the board, Tim says, a nice, refreshing interview. And what's so refreshing for me is the fact that obviously she's younger, but she has been playing golf and she knows golf better than most.
Yeah.
And that is what's so impressive to me. If you want to talk strategies or skill sets or, course management, I feel like she would be a perfect person to go to. Like her and the rest of her family, her and her sister especially, you put them on the bag for any other player, and I feel like they're going to be a valuable asset as well, in addition to how great they are as competitors. They just have a really good, well-rounded concept of the game. Clearly, I think that's what helps result in the 6 world titles between them. And then when you follow it up and say, yeah, we talk to and learn from and work with the likes of Bradley Williams and Paul Macbeth.
Not a lot of people can be like, oh yeah, Paul was working on my footwork with me this past weekend.
Yeah.
Or Bradley was teaching me the nice smooth mid-range throw that he has. It's almost an unfair advantage.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. So
is that household going to surpass
the Jenkins family? Or
well, I was thinking right now the Doss Jenkins family. Technically, that's a separate household. They have six world championships in their house.
I think they have seven.
Oh, they have 7. That's right.
Technically 8 or 9 if you include the juniors on their part.
Well, then, yeah, you have to include that.
Yeah, so they got a little bit more work to do just yet. But yeah.
Doss has 1.
I think he has a junior title and 3 worlds titles.
Yep.
Val has 4 worlds titles and I believe a juniors
title. Does she
title.
have a juniors? I
believe she does.
I wasn't sure about that. That's
I'm
the one I
almost
wasn't
positive
sure
that she does. And then Val and my boy Dave Wastebloom. I know you're out there snoring somewhere. Dave, I believe they won an amateur. Yeah, an amateur mixed doubles world title at Am Worlds before the week started. And then Nate and Val got the world title doubles win in Augusta last year.
Correct. Lots
of world titles. They're just being thrown all around, and the good people go out and pick them up. They're available. You just got to go pick them up. Soon, I think I'm hoping to hear from Luke Humphreys. Spoiler alert, he won on the men's side, the men's advanced side this weekend.
Bro.
I know. The video is out.
Oh, okay.
So please go out and consume that. I will say there was some strategy in that I got out the men's video a little bit quicker, or I should say I just attacked it first because I had semifinals from the women that I wanted to release, and then I wanted to release the women's final 9. The men's side was a little bit more lopsided, so I'm like, I'm going to knock that one out.
It was a victory lap for
Luke.
Get
that one out quickly and make it ready to go. So that is available for everyone to see. And then earlier tonight, I released the semifinal, like final 6 or 8 holes or so that we just talked about, along with Alexis and the rest of the card from the semifinals. Their final 9 should release tomorrow. So you'll see that out there as well. Okay.
Real quick, a little update here from our friends over at UDisc. They have updated their app again.
We always call them our friends.
They're my friend. I sent them a request today for Worlds, saying, hey, I'd like this little new graphic. Could you do it? And they were all over it. They said, yeah, that's awesome. It looks great. We're all about it. So I'm going to consider them my friends.
Wow.
Their UDisc app has updated for course par. So when you open up a course on your UDisc app, it should have the correct par for the hole, so you won't have to adjust it manually. And you can name holes. So, whether you call,
like A holes and B holes.
You could call them
holes.
all those holes.
That was pretty clever. Thank you.
That was pretty clever. Yeah. So, as we know, like Top of the World and things like that, you can name these iconic holes.
I'm going to go out and name all sorts of like
name them after like Terry's favorite hole.
No, I was going to say like
Joe.
Come out and go to a course and pick like a hole that's got just a little bit of a hill, but like Top of the World hole, and then give them all the reapply them
up and down the mountain or something crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, so UDisc has that, and they not breaking any news here because I think they kind of talked about it on Reddit. Their big update coming out next week will finally be the Android Wear stuff. So for your Android watches, I guess it's in beta right now. We're looking forward to. For the 7 people that have Android watches that wear them, you will finally get your app.
Wow. You guys are good. Well, I was about to get into some Mountain West Premier stuff, but we can hold off on that.
We don't have any time for that.
Not right now, because instead, I think we're going to bring in our men's advanced champion. I don't know if he's tired from his victory lap that he got to walk it in, but joining us now is our advanced men's champion, Luke Humphreys. How are we doing tonight, buddy?
And solid, doing well. Just got finished playing some league with the Dallas friends, first round back. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, how did that feel? Yeah,
Was there any ribbing? Was there anything like that?
There's always been ribbing with them. That's one of the good things. We can do that friendly, and it's a good way to, stay competitive. But mostly just congratulations. There's a lot of people supporting me around town. You never know how much love you have until you perform.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of pride, and we love seeing that. And that doesn't just always go to the winner. We see
Local pride.
Anyone that's out there performing well. You see someone finishing 7th at Worlds, and their hometown is just exploding because 7th is also still a really huge accomplishment, and so on and so forth. So that is great to see. So tell everyone. Give us a little story for those who haven't talked to you over the last week, but give us a little bit of your background and how you arrived at this point.
Yeah, it's a long, windy journey, really. It didn't have any Frisbee throwing at the beginning of it. I'd always been into sports, and it was soccer or something else growing up. And then I got into golf late in high school and then back into it after college. And that's kind of what got me into disc golf. I would talk to my friend who actually put the first Frisbee in my hand back in 2014, 2013 maybe. And he remembers me complaining the entire time that I was playing, telling him all the reasons that disc golf was inferior to ball golf. And, that led to, me being competitive about it like anything else and wanting to be the best, not liking losing.
Was he giving you the hard sell on that at the time? Like, no, but it's so much cooler because you don't have to pay like $60 a round, and it doesn't take us 4 hours to play, and these discs are only $10 a piece.
Those are all great reasons too. Like, definitely sell points for sure. He was giving them to me as well, and then Dallas. You move here. I did in 2014, and that changed the game. It's insane down here. I was just in Charlotte, and Charlotte's amazing. Shout out to them, their crew down there, and just the population of disc golfers there it's amazing what they do and the courses that they keep up. And I wasn't joking when I said immaculate. Those courses are good. But Dallas is another thing, and it's the DFW, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys out Fort Worth that are serious about it too, but it's the real deal here.
Did you have any – I mean, you're clearly a skilled player. Did you find that the Charlotte courses were way different than your local courses? Because Charlotte has a reputation for being a very tight, accuracy-driven type of course. Texas has a reputation for being wide-open bombers.
Yeah, for sure. We do have the bombers, but Texas also has the Charlotte type of courses. I'd say the only difference, the big one that I noticed was the ceilings. We've got the hard lines to hit, but we have to have these low ceiling shots too. What was nice in Charlotte was the play that you got from 20 feet up to 40 feet up. I mean, you could use your imagination that much more, which is one of the reasons I love golf and disc golf, is the use of the imagination to paint lines and think of it kind of like art. It helps.
Well, and speaking of painting lines, as people have seen now maybe in the finals, someone taking plenty of creative lines out there, Justin Peeler. I mean, he very much relied on the overhand line, trying to sometimes take a lot of those things out of play. Did you rely at all on overhand shots throughout the week like he did? Is that something that's in your bag?
It is to a degree, not very much. And thinking back, I don't know if I threw an overhand shot. I throw a lot of annies that come out similar to an overhand, but they're stable discs, so they end up panning back out. Not like a true overhand. I don't think I ever used it, and I wasn't ready for the one he threw on one. That was just a bomb so high into the Cool to see though.
Yeah,
it's awesome to see people do it a different way than you.
Well, and that's sometimes a criticism some people say is, oh, well, that's not like fair. You shouldn't be able to do that and throw forehands or backhands or whatever the situation is. And that's usually someone with a lot of envy saying, well, I can't do that, therefore I don't want to see you do that. But if it's a shot you have, go for it.
When the disc leaves your hand, I don't care what angle or how it comes out, as long as it's thrown.
Exactly. So when we talk about courses, is there one that stood out for you in Charlotte as like, if I had one layover, one night in Charlotte, and I got to get a morning round in before I have to catch a flight back out, what course? Maybe it's one you played, or maybe it's one you didn't even play yet and you just heard of. But what course would you say you would go out to?
You did mention that I just heard about. There was a private course that they talked about, something Bluff, possibly, was it?
Okay, yep. That I think that's the kind of the camp or something like that. Is that what? Is that the one that I've heard of out there?
Michael Johansson's private course is what I heard. Did my video feed go out?
Hold on 1 second, Luke. We're gonna turn off our video. Can you turn your video off and on? Some reason your camera kind of went a little crazy here.
All those overhands. Yep. All those overhands getting all crazy, chopping up the lines.
There you go. Much
we
better.
got you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you may not see us, which is to your benefit.
Oh, he sees us.
Okay. So the private course, and I can't say I know too much about that one then that you're referencing, but that's one you haven't seen. How about one you did see out at Charlotte's Worlds?
It'd have to be Nevins again, and it'd be awesome to play it from the longs. I didn't get the chance to do that on all the holes. We did play some longs, but the more difficult the golf, I think, the better you feel about a good shot at the end of the day. There's more satisfaction to be had from a difficult shot than an easier one.
So what do you think about the atmosphere of 700 amateurs all, ultimately, congregating there in Charlotte for the week? What was that atmosphere and that feeling like for you?
And it's fantastic. It was just a bunch of people loving disc golf in one spot, friends of yours that you'd never met with so much in common. It was great going to the breweries at night. We stayed out. We went to the parties, tried to get as much time with everybody as we could.
I was going to ask, a lot of times we see some of the competitors that are there to focus on winning a championship don't necessarily participate in a lot of the extras, the player parties, the free movie nights and things like that. Is that something it sounds like you did? You did a lot of that extra stuff?
Yeah, we tried to do it. It's something to take up time. If you're not doing that, you're just sitting around thinking about shots that you got to react to anyways that aren't going to help to be thought about. So that was part of it, just keeping my mind off things. I didn't spend much time at the courses other than practice rounds and like right before my tee times. I didn't warm up very often before I played.
Did you go out to the whitewater facility out there?
I did. That place was insane.
It
Amazing.
was.
They had everything. The rock wall and then the kayakers. It looked like they had world-class kayakers, too. They were pulling out Eskimo rolls and just all sorts of goodness.
Yeah, it was one of the cooler experiences out there for sure. And I'm glad I just got to go out there and see what that facility was all about. And as you just referenced, there's rock climbing walls, various ones. You could kayak. There was paddle boarding. White water rafting, I'll say like a simulation, but I mean it was an actual course that they had set up. You could rent bikes, you could do a little bit of everything out there, and then they had, of course, food and beer. And then the night we were there, and I think quite a few nights, they also had some live music. So it was truly an adult playground.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, there was a country band playing. It was great.
At what point? I mean, because of course, people are looking at your rating and thinking that you're going to be a favorite, if not the favorite. You're going to be favorited to win. But at what point did you start feeling a little bit more comfortable? Maybe not necessarily in the bag, but when did you start feeling like, all right, things are going well for me this week, and I just need to kind of maintain this pace? How many rounds in was that?
It was after Nevins. I knew that was going to be the most difficult one. So we played that one afternoon of Friday, which would have been our second to last day. And after that one got done, and I shot a good back nine, you were there for some of it, but 7 under on those 9 holes, just coming down the stretch. It felt like I'm going back to Hornet's Nest, where I shot a 9 under bogey free a couple days ago. I felt comfortable on Hornet's Nest. So at that point, I felt good, and I kind of took that good feeling into the Hornet's Nest round and made a couple early mistakes. But that kind of snapped me back into, I was never okay with it, really. After the USA DGC, I couldn't let it happen again.
What was that experience like? And for those who may not know, and we talked to Calvin, who ultimately won a few months ago, but what did you learn from that experience, and how did you channel or focus in on it for this week?
I definitely learned from it. It was moments slipping away from me that I didn't feel like I was controlling, missed putts that I wasn't focusing on, and just taking it one shot at a time. And I took things for granted that weekend, and especially early in that final round. I played a good back nine, but Calvin was shooting fire at that point. Shout out to Calvin. Shot fire, bro. The mistakes were done. I couldn't.
So speaking of maybe a few things not going as planned, your finals, it seemed like, and I remember saying it in the commentary, I don't know if you watched it, but it seemed like in your finals, maybe every putt that might have dropped earlier in the week just didn't seem to want to drop during that. Were you at all nervous? Were you a little maybe too amped up or excited? You missed a few putts, and they were all high.
Yeah. I wanted to do something for the crowd, and honestly, the crowd would have been fine just seeing what I had done the rest of the rounds. Looking back on it, I should have just kept doing what I was doing, but I tried to do some things that were extra special, and I ended up looking kind of dumb. But
I don't know, dumb. I mean, you're awarded plenty of leeway when you're out there with 13 strokes. I don't think anyone's guessing like, oh my gosh, he's missed a few putts. How did he ever get the lead? I don't think anyone's thinking that. But
folks at home not thinking that.
So one of the things that we talked about, and it seemed almost ambiguous during your awards, but maybe not, and you could clarify, you're without sponsor, or this week you went into the week without a disc manufacturer sponsor. Has that changed in the last 72 hours?
It has not changed yet, but there's a possibility that it could in the near future.
How many Cuba Gooding Jr. Gifts have you sent out that say "Show me the money"? How many of those have you had to send to people via Facebook?
None of those specific ones, but some messages similar to it. I'm talking to a few people, and I'm excited about the future. I actually just talked to Casey Wright earlier today, and I'll be working with Thrower's Choice, throwing for them on that team. And for those of you not familiar with Thrower's Choice, it's a shout out to them. It's a website that you can get a specific spec on the disc from a 1,000 rated player that tells you dome, softness, everything about the disc that you need to know. We're specific players that need a specific product. So it's a great site. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
So what are you currently throwing? If you don't have a manufacturer that you are obligated to right now, what does your bag consist of?
In Charlotte, whippets. Actually, I threw whippets off of 50% of the tee boxes probably. I've got 3 that I brought there that do all sorts of things, from rock type discs, mid-range discs, to like super stable Firebirds. So but I throw mainly Innova, a lot of destroyers, T-birds, whippets, I said, rocks, and then I putt at the moment with Wardens, dynamic disc Wardens, and a specific one that I brought for Worlds that just said Texas Disc Golf on it, and it turned out to be the magic wand. Probably the best putting that I've had in any tournament in my life.
Well, so I have to follow it up because it's always talked about with regards to aces. People say, well, I get an ace and then I have to, sign it or date it and put it on the wall or just hang it up right away and retire it. What did you do with, what are you going to do with that putter? Do you continue to throw it?
No, my bag actually hasn't made it back to me. I sent it home with some friends that drove. So This evening I just threw together some randomness. I don't actually have my trophy or my basket. They're going to be here soon, but I'm kind of in limbo with my housing situation too. I moved right before I came out to Worlds, so I spent the first night in my house last night. It's just been a little bit whirlwind.
Yeah, disc golf rich at its finest.
He's looking for a housing sponsor now.
Yeah.
Yeah, housing sponsor, anybody?
Anybody.
So, Bank of America, you listening? So, what's in your near future? I'll say maybe from here throughout the rest of the year, and then we'll talk about 5 years from now. But what's in your near future for you and golf or careers?
Yeah, well, I'm continuing to work for Sigma Supply of North America. They've been really gracious to me and flexible with my schedule. I'm in outside sales, so as long as I'm getting my customer service, I don't really need to be at the office, and I can do a lot of this from the computer. So I'm going to continue working for them for the near future. And the USDGC is the next tournament that I have scheduled. I haven't even gone as far as looking at what's to come. I really had this on the list and getting my life back in order, and then some tournaments or something. So there's definitely going to be golf in the future. I just don't have a specific tournament yet.
You're kind of in I'll say a dream scenario, having a job that can work from almost anywhere and still be able to play disc golf. I mean, we see so many pros that they have to give up their daytime jobs in order to tour. If you could tour, whether it's regionally or nationally, and still maintain a job, that relieves a lot of golf pressure.
Without a doubt, man. The owner of my company, Banks Hamby, is a great guy, and he's been willing to work with me, as well as Richard Burnett, my branch manager down here. They understand that I'm a diverse guy, and I'm going to be doing some of this, and they're going to help me out with that. So the customers, shout out to my customers too for
keep buying from me.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for the patience.
So all you need to do is learn how to double dip, get your customers to buy the Sigma 6 product stuff, and then but also buy a case of Destroyers or Judges or Wardens or whatever. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's a great game plan. I need to write that down, actually.
See, I keep coming up with great ideas for you.
You're full of them.
Get that gift ready, and so so this is I would assume, you just came up short on the US ADGC. You go to Am Worlds. This is really the pinnacle of amateur disc golf. What is next for you? What's the next, not necessarily just the next tournament you're playing in, but what do you have your sights set on, and does this make you then a pro from here on out? I mean, you've declined cash a few other times, and you're rated just shy of 1,000. And did it change today is another question. But what's next for you in golf?
This was an affirmation of something that I had, I don't want to say put all my eggs in the basket for, but had started to think, this could possibly be something that I'd be into. I always wanted to play a professional sport, and this is a great opportunity. So if that last week went as planned, I had told myself that, this is something that we need to talk about. I don't feel like this is an accident, the people that I've met and the places that I've been put into. So I want to pursue disc golf. I'd like to, by next year, have won a sizable tournament, whether that be an A tier or a pro tour event, and definitely place well at the USDGC. I'm not just going to carry somebody's bag on the final day. I'm going to play. I'd like to compete.
Now, a lot of our pros either come into disc golf or develop some form of, I don't want to just say side gig, but almost a side purpose. Some of them it may be sales and branding. Nate Sexton, learns that he's a great commentator, but then also is great at giving clinics, so on and so forth. Do you feel like there's another maybe parallel talent or gift or skill that you think either may develop or that you already have that was like, okay, I'm going to golf and I'm going to play golf and I'm going to hopefully do well, but I also have this other parallel passion or talent that I can bring into golf? Is there anything else out there? Whether that's teaching, course design, that kind of stuff?
That's a great question. It's all gone through my mind, and I don't think I can even answer it at this moment. That's something that I need to think about, really. That's writing something else down.
What else can I do?
Yeah,
you could do outside sales for whatever manufacturer you sign on with, along with your side gig.
So all these manufacturers are using my products. Actually, I sell boxes and tape on a grand scale is what it is. I'm a glorified box salesman. I work with manufacturers to streamline the shipping process. So all these guys have my boxes. If anybody's listening,
seriously, that's one specific, we'll say, set of products. But to take it a step further, you look at people like in Eric Oakley, who's been out on the road and has done some sales in working with a Discmania, and now is also obviously a dynamic disc brand ambassador, in addition to being a competitor. And I think of a Nate Perkins, a Discmania and a brand ambassador, so on and so forth. I think I feel like if people have that skill set and that patience and organization, that seems like a very logical way to be doing things. If you can, divide up your time in that way.
Totally. Yeah, I look up to both of those guys that you mentioned as, moguls to a degree. They're not just doing one thing. They've got the multiple gigs. And I see Nate Perkins down in the Metroplex during the off season, and I get to see hands-on what he's doing and what he's thinking. And the guy's, smart dude, obviously. And he's doing it right.
And at some point, I'll take it a step further. You build an entire empire like it seems like Wysocki's doing. I mean, he's obviously setting up, putting up tents and booths and making himself available at clinics and demos and at fly marts. And now he's to a point where he can't even handle it all, and he's openly said,
family members.
I've got family members. I got, I got people on my payroll.
That's fantastic. That's great for disc golf. It's the way we want to be pushing it.
It definitely is. So, can you name maybe aside from the crowning moment, but can you name a memory or two, a highlight or two that really jumped out at you this week that you feel like no matter what you will always cherish and take with you from this last week?
Yeah, it'd be maybe that first round. It was a crazy way to start. Pouring rain at Kilbourne, which I'd played once, and no warm-up really. I showed up and stretched on the back of my car until the 2-minute warning. So I walked out in my swimsuit without an umbrella and almost aced the first hole, but then I missed the putt. And then the next hole, I made a decision about how I was going to play the rest of the round, and I birdied 14 of the next 17 holes. So that second tee box, standing there getting wet without an umbrella, was like a defining moment to a degree. I made a choice right there. So that one, and my putt on 18 of the next round, when I had played a terrible front nine, given strokes back. At one point, I had a 4-stroke lead, I think, going into the round. At one point, I had a 2-stroke deficit. So I'd given it away, fought back, and then had a death putt on 18. I don't know if you know Kilbourne, but falls off. I had gone too long. I walked back and forth like I don't usually do, and then ended up, instead of laying up, putting it and making it. And if I had missed that, I would have given away the lead, which wouldn't have made it a wire-to-wire victory. And who knows what it would have done to my psyche at that point. All it takes is one stroke here or there. So I look at that as another good finish. And I got stroked after that. My good friend Marty Gregoire called me and told me that I turned in a bad scorecard. And he's a funny guy, so at first I was like, surely.
Well, we know Marty really well.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Yeah, okay.
So you were suspect is what you were saying. Okay, go on.
Yeah, it's suspect until he showed me a picture, and that was another moment that I called my dad after that. I was pretty upset. I've never been stroked before in a world championship. It's just a terrible spot to get your first one. So I had to get over it. I knew that, and after talking to him, I did.
What was the case? I'll admit I did not hear that story. What was the situation?
Yeah, I added up when it was my turn to check the card. I added up my front nine scores, and they were written down, totaled correctly, and then my back nine was totaled correctly as well. And I just didn't look over and see that he had put 27 and 23 together as 51 and not 50. And I don't even remember who it is exactly, and I don't think
you do. Yeah, you do. You just don't want to put him on blast.
It's all right.
I don't think he did it intentionally, is what I'll say. And I think at the end of the day, instead of giving strokes to the field, it just lit a fire, and that fire burned throughout the week and got even brighter the next day when, after we played A pool, I think A pool, C pool, D pool, played hole 8 at Hornet's Nest. B pool couldn't play it, so they threw it out. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
That I did hear. Yep. How did you do on that hole?
I parked it, of course. So 90% of the field picked up a minimum of 1 stroke on that hole the next day. And again, I was like, man, I end the day and then they take strokes from me. So
that's a bad habit to get into.
It totally is. But it burned the fire brighter after that, I felt like adversity was in front of me and I needed to push through it at that point. Yeah.
All right. Well, somewhere there's a voodoo doll with that guy's name on it. Give me my stroke.
If anything, he deserves a thank you for keeping me
Could be worse. You could leave the course with the card, and your whole card could have got stroked, like somebody I know.
Yeah, you could have done that at a 98 Amateur World Championships. That could have happened. My first ever Am Worlds in 96, I also somehow turned in an incorrect scorecard. And I'll say it, and you know this probably now, and it'll probably hold true. You'll likely, for the next 10 or 20 or 50 years, you will likely, hopefully, knock on wood, never make that mistake again. Like, there's certain mistakes that I feel like if you make them, fine, you make them, you live and you learn, and you just should never make that mistake ever again. And
no, that's easy math there.
yeah, that certainly is. Damn it, where's U-Disc when we need him?
Yeah.
As another option. All right. What else do you need to share with us? I feel like that's been a pretty awesome week for you. It sounds like we're hearing what your plans are going to be. You're open to sponsorship ideas and opportunities. What else do you have to share with us?
Man, just one more time, thank you to the people that supported me throughout this journey. Shout out to the family, my little brothers and sisters who I haven't talked about, Grace, Nate, and my older sister Kylie out in Denver. My folks in Wichita. Shout out to the Kansas people too. I talk about Texas a lot, but I am from Wichita, Kansas, so that's where I first threw a frisbee. And then also the Dallas people, East Dallas Disc Crew, Tree Love Disc Golf, Thrower's Choice. Hopefully a big sponsor will be in my next speech.
That's right.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear it. Make sure you give us an update. We'd certainly love to talk about it, or at least announce it for you. Once you've put it out there, it's very special to me to not only attend these Am Worlds and then now be able to document them, but just being at all these worlds throughout all these years, to know in 2 or 4 or 10 years you could be the next Paul Macbeth, or Ricky Wysocki, or whomever that's had the success. You may be a better player than all of them. And when I get to look back and reflect, I always think, man, I got to see his final 9. I got to see him crowned champion. And those defining moments for all of our sport are hold a special place in my personal heart. And it's awesome to see. And I just want to say congratulations again.
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you both. Appreciate
all right.
that.
All right. Well, we're going to let you go. You've got a whole list of things you got to do.
Get started immediately.
And
make a spot for that trophy.
That too, yeah. Get
a couple lights.
Got bags and trophies and all sorts of things showing up. So, again, Luke, congratulations on a successful. Not only successful week, you've already had a very successful career, and we're looking forward to watching it grow and blossom into the professional ranks, and looking forward to have you on the show more in the future, pal.
Much appreciated, guys.
All right. Have a good night, buddy.
Thanks.
You too.
See ya.
Yeah.
Again, your 2018 PDGA Amateur World Champion in Luke Humphreys.
I kind of feel like, now, we've had Luke on. We had Calvin on when he won him. Both of which phenomenal public speakers, I think. Like, very good interviews. I'm really excited about the. I don't know how old Luke is. Do you happen to know how old he is?
I just saw that question on the board, and I don't think that him and I spoke of it earlier in the week.
It appears to be he's in his early 20s. Yeah. So I want to say like the youth of our sport, but like the newer players having this zen about the golf and about the sport. And I think I'm excited to hear them, because some of our players, it took a while for them to get comfortable in front of cameras and this stuff. And we're now seeing a generation of players that, I mean, you could talk about the whole generation of being in front of a camera their whole life with their phones, but that are prepared for what might be coming in front of them.
Well, and that's exactly it. I think we're seeing a lot more people, just think 20 years ago, you weren't calling even me via Skype or having these types of, face-to-face interactions and conversations. So, and we clearly can't attribute all of their comfort and skill sets to just being younger, but it is great to see, like you said, really good public speaker, knows what he's talking about, articulate, and clearly he's a student of the game. He
Sounds
sports, golf specifically, so on and so forth. He's a student of the game, which to me makes him that much more of a deadly or lethal competitor when it comes to him against others, because there's raw talent, there's raw skill, there's raw muscle, and so on and so forth. But when you're also have a great head on your shoulders and you understand the game and the concepts, and it's so much more than just throwing the actual shots, that's when I think you have a really special athlete and golfer in front of us. So very, very cool to see. Again, congratulations to Luke. Maybe a few clicks away, I want to go ahead and give you guys actually and read off all of our AM Worlds champions as they came throughout the week.
So are arguably the two biggest divisions that we saw, Texas dominated.
I did make note of that. And then another state that I saw represented just off the top of my head, I know I saw Minnesota represented on a few of the more mature divisions. But anyway, real quickly, on the Advanced Masters 40+, Mark Huther, super amazing gentleman. Not only did Mark win, which is great and amazing, and he won by 13, Mark was one of the right-hand men in putting on the event. And so Mark
like
oversaw the course.
Almost.
Yeah, and he had so much on his plate and handles that also with such grace and poise and patience. And then to go out and then, of course, win. There's a very fine and special individual in Mark. So congratulations to Mark. He's a team legacy player. Went out and got it done, shooting very well. Congratulations to him. On the AM Masters women, we saw April Gilliam. She took it down, and April is from Kingsport, Tennessee. Congratulations. She also had a somewhat... She had a large margin of victory. She ended up ultimately 18 strokes in front. And then what do we have? An Advanced Grandmasters. Bill Carey out of Minnesota. You know Bill, as do I. I've seen him at a number of events throughout the many years we've been playing here in the Midwest. Congratulations to Bill as he takes it down in the Grandmasters division. And in the Women's Grandmasters, Jennifer Costa, with her 839 rating. It looks like she was rated the highest out of the division. She's out of Marietta, Georgia, and ultimately took it down in a playoff. So she got chased down. She had a 3-stroke advantage going into the finals, was chased down, was caught, but then came out on top in the playoff. Mark Hauser, who I've seen for many years also, hailing out of California. He's your champion by a single stroke in the Advanced Senior Grandmasters, I guess they would call that. Advanced 60 plus 60. Donna Stanley, who I believe is from
North Carolina.
Sorry. She has a 10-stroke margin of victory. And then Donald Parker, who I believe also comes out of Minnesota. Yep. Also taking down the win with a 9-stroke margin. So I feel like I feel like
the West Coast got skunked.
Well, and here's a funny follow-up to that. A few days ago, as Worlds was just getting started, there was a post. I don't want to call it unintelligent or uninformed.
Not skunked. Never mind. Santa Barbara. Mark is from
Mark. But someone said, it's more or less claiming as if there's a conspiracy about having pro or AM Worlds out in California. And it couldn't, let me tell you, as a 25-year member almost of the PDGA, it couldn't be further from the truth. The PDGA will award a World Championships to a host city and team, whoever puts together the best bid and is the most logical way to go about it. There is no prejudice against one side of the country or another. For goodness sakes, if you think so, then tell me why we played Pro Worlds in 2002 in Houston in August, like that, right? Am I right?
The last time I ever wore a tank top, like a sleeveless shirt.
Thank God.
All of us, I think we all went out and bought them.
So I'm just telling you, if there is and hands down outright best bid, wherever it comes from, it can get awarded. All right. So I know, like, well, it's never out here. It's never out there or somewhere because somebody's not bidding for it. You need to put in a good bid, and it maybe needs to be the best bid of that year. And if you say, well, we put in a bid and someone else got awarded it. Okay, well, someone else might have had a better bid. And then you could say, well, then we didn't get it the year after or whatever. Maybe there was a contingency. Maybe there was the parks and or the visitors bureau said, you know what, we want to bid on the 2020 Worlds. If we don't get that, because we have other obligations in other years, that's the only year we'd take it. And so your bid comes in, it's not awarded for 2020, and then that might take your area out of the running for the next 2 to 5 years because your host city can't do it. Whatever the case is, my long-winded rant here is not a prejudice. If you are the best bid for the year and you can host it, and you have proven that with you and your team and your host city and your host courses, it very much can get awarded. You just need people to bid on it.
That's why Terry's doing AmWorlds again.
As a videographer for many years to come and not running it. Yeah, and Chuck's out on the board. I know Chuck's had a lot of interaction, of course, with the World Championships throughout many years. And I'll go ahead and follow what Chuck was mentioning. 2001 Worlds in Minnesota, record heat indices, I think is the official term. Like 112, 110, 113. There was an NFL player that passed away because it was so ridiculously hot. So the year before we go to Houston, it's actually hotter in Minnesota. The year 2014, we did the battle at Blue Lake leading into Pro Worlds.
I remember seeing how hot
it was. Over 100 degrees out there. Maybe that's normal, but it was freaking hot. I know that when we were out there. I mean, it seems like wherever Worlds goes, they want to have record-breaking heat that week, week in and week out.
The PDGA brings the heat.
They do. Or Discraft does. They have a heat.
Discraft does bring the heat.
I don't know. All right. Yes. Carver says, we need a major out here in California. Carver, were you the one? I think you were out there complaining. Maybe I am indirectly or directly now calling you out. I think you were were you one of the vocal ones? Because that was my rant. That was my piece. Somebody needs to be willing to do it.
Yeah. He says they need a major. I mean, you've got an NT in the Masters Cup. One of a lot of people's favorite NT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think you need a major.
I mean, if they did, I'd be all about it.
Oh, so would I.
I mean, I went to the 2011 Worlds. I went to the 2014 Worlds in Portland. Like, I'm all about them. Somebody needs to just put in a really good bid that is better than everyone else's bid for that given time frame and prove that they can do it. I think the one argument that I saw people were saying was maybe Lake Tahoe at one point put in a bid, which I hadn't previously heard, and they weren't awarded it. And then I always think, okay, well, that doesn't mean they can never have it.
Did they?
It just means it wasn't awarded to them that year.
Did they put a bid in another year or another year? Or I know you don't know. I'm just saying that those are all things that you need to think about.
Oh, Carver, you say you were just trolling for fun. That doesn't stop me from getting worked up. I'm just going to tell you, fun or otherwise.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Couple things. I want to quickly wrap up and segue out of amateur disc golf. I also, like I said, I think we're going to talk to Jason Wilder sometime soon about the international disc golf going on or National Disc Golf Day. I should know what it is. Does it say it on there? I don't know. But as we do that, I want to quickly wrap up because I am hosting a next-gen event this weekend, Crown Point, Indiana. If you're not already signed up, you still can sign up. I'm going to TD, one of the few events I TD this year. Dave Felberg's going to be there. You're going to have free lunches. You're going to have a ridiculous player pack, all that good stuff.
My favorite story about that, yesterday, I'm on my way to Minocqua, Wisconsin for work. It's a 4-hour drive. I'm humming along, listening to my audiobook. Suddenly my phone rings, and I don't recognize the number. And I was like, that's weird. And I pick it up, and I'm like, hello? This is John. Hey, it's Jay from Crown Point.
Jay's Fitco.
Yeah,
presumably.
I didn't put it together in my
Okay.
head. Like, and it took me, like, that wasn't the person I was thinking. And so I was like, Jay. He's like, is Terry back from Worlds? And I was like, oh, Jay Fitco. I was like, I don't know. I think he is. He left yesterday. Here's his phone number. You call him. And it was the most surreal for some reason that I don't know how he got my number of all numbers, but he eventually hopefully got a hold of you.
I think I may have missed his call at one point because it didn't. Some number came by. Obviously, as you can imagine, yesterday coming after being gone again for another 5 days, coming back from a Worlds, had a million things going on. So Jay, if you're out there listening, I apologize. Hopefully we're all good to go. So real quickly, I want to read the Mountain West premier event that took place had 16,000. It was a half region. So the previous event had 30,000 in payout. This half region had 16,000. Trenton Higley's your Gladiator winner. Your night winner was Shane Evans. Your Saint winner is Garrett Caldwell. Going to Arizona is Trenton, who shot a 10.25 rated round and also got second in the AM Worlds. Shane Evans is your first night to qualify for the national championship. Proof that you don't need to be a Gladiator to go to Arizona. Peyton Niendorf is 16th in the 2017 National Championships, qualified for 2018 because he placed second to Robert Cade Elsner, who had declined his invite. So that's what's going on. Again, I'm excited to see so many of you. Right now, I want to say there's 40 or 50-ish. I keep seeing the registrations kind of come in from Disc Golf Scene. Dave's going to be doing early check-in on Friday. Play obviously taking place Saturday and Sunday. I'll be out there. Dave's going to be doing some clinics and demos. There's going to be food. There's going to be good courses. It should be a really good time.
Those are great courses.
Yeah, so excited for what's going on this weekend. It's not too late to sign up. I don't want to say we'll take anybody, but reach out because we probably got a spot for you.
All right.
And then what I want to see is I want to see a bunch of people come play here at Crown Point. I get to know them if I don't know them already. And then fast forward a few months when we're out covering the national championships in November. There's all these backstories and memories that memory lane we can go down about. Remember back when you were in Crown Point?
Just a few weeks ago.
Just a few months ago. And I watched you make that long putt, and now here you are in Arizona. Those are what we're looking for.
Yeah.
All right.
Back to some PDGA news.
Okay, what do we got?
I'm going to pour one out. Yeah, I would pour one out, but I only have a little left. For Kevin McCoy. Kevin McCoy has resigned from the board of directors.
Quitter.
In shame. He somehow...
He's disqualified, barred, banned for life.
Banned for life. No. Kevin basically took a more permanent job, so to speak, with Innova. He's been doing their, I believe, mobile growth, is I think what they call it. Mobile...
I'm not sure that's the PC term.
Mobile operations guy. He's their East Coast mobile operations guy. And so he wanted to dedicate more time. He felt like he couldn't dedicate that time. Either he couldn't dedicate that time to the PDGA or there was maybe a conflict of interest. Either way, Kevin McCoy, who's phenomenal on the board, has always been really, really positive to work with, stepped away from the board of directors effective yesterday. So we want to reach out and say thanks to Kevin for his time as a volunteer position for the PDGA for the last, I think,
7 or 8 years,
6 or 7 years, I think. So September 2011 is when he was on. So about 7 years. So thanks a lot, Kev. I'm going to drink to that.
I would also say, if you haven't already, and if you're listening now, or I should say, if you're not listening live, then ignore this. Because the deadline, I believe, is coming going right now,
tonight,
like this minute.
Or pretty close.
To get in your votes, for PDGA Board of Directors. So this maybe comes in line with all of that. So Board of Directors, I believe the cutoff is of tonight. It may be happening in 1 minute. I have 10:59 Central. I'm not sure what time the cutoff is, but I believe sometime here on the 31st was, in fact, the cutoff. So soon enough, by next week, I'm assuming by next week. I know it's very
They
digital.
usually do a week or two before they announce.
Yeah, so we may or may not know our new board of directors and who the winners were come next week. And if so, of course, we'll have that for you and stuff. Right? Will we?
I'm sure we will.
Okay. All right, and I know I already just touched on the topic that, or I did earlier, that next week, as of right now, we're planning on what would be our August, 7th show will actually more likely become an August 8th show. Instead of Tuesday night, it looks like we'll likely be live on Wednesday night when we're already down at the Ledgestone. I'll be traveling down there, I believe, Wednesday during the day, which then makes more sense to have our show on Wednesday night in this case. To follow that up, what's going on with Scott Stokely's history? Is that going to conflict with that?
We'll have to figure that out.
Oh, okay.
Because we weren't exactly sure, so I know we mentioned it last week off the air, and I'm gonna have to confirm with it next week. But I honestly haven't heard from Scott about tomorrow yet.
Oh,
like
okay.
he's supposed to
tenttively.
He's supposed to come back tomorrow. That's what
tomorrow.
he announced. So I'm assuming tomorrow I'll hear more from him. But we'll figure out what's gonna go on next week.
We'll make it work one way or another. On local news, if you're in the Midwest or in Wisconsin, there was a little email hubbub, I think is a fair way to word that, for an event coming up in a couple weeks. The Mad City Open, which is a 25-ish year-long running A-tier in Wisconsin.
Sounds about right.
It's been running at least that long, not quite
Consecutively.
all A-tiers, but for the most part, A-tiers. It was a national tour at one point. It has had some challenges. We'll go with the word challenges from what I've gathered in terms of a few details with the city and the parks departments and a few things getting finalized and hashed out. And so rather than it being 3 rounds of 18 for this A-tier, it's going to ultimately be 2 rounds of 27 this year. So if you're a Midwestern person and you're either signed up, you probably got the email. If not, here's your alert.
Are we busy that weekend?
I will be. I think I'm in Delaware for the national tour event. It's the 15th and 16th of September is what's going on. But 27 holes at 2 different courses. Ironically enough, neither of them are in Madison, although it's the Mad City Open. So we'll keep you posted on that if you're local to our area. But that's been going on, and it's certainly been some conversations about it.
I'll have to look into that. It might be sold out. It might not be. I don't know.
Either way, it's that's happening. I guess for a moment I'm gonna reach out to Jason here and see if we can get him on soon. But real quickly, I wanted to kind of conclude our regular show with just a huge shout out. I mean, I talk about all the time about really, and I mean it so much when I said to Luke that I enjoy being at these AM Worlds, Pro Worlds, Junior Worlds, Masters Worlds, whatever they are. I love being at all of them. Those are very special moments that I'll forever cherish. It's also easy to talk about, and I'll say gush about some of these events when you go to them and they just knock it out of the park. And what's great for me is it's not a competition in that, like, well, I was at Junior Worlds a couple weeks ago and they were amazing, and then I went to AM Worlds and they were more amazing. Like they're all great. And
there's a new bar in general for the PDGA events, and it's higher than what we've seen, what you and I think became accustomed to years and years ago. We had a lot of fun at some Worlds, but I wouldn't necessarily always say that the establishments or the hosting cities or maybe the TDs were at the top of their game. But I kind of feel like that bar is now set, and the floor is where some of our ceilings were back in the day. So it's really cool.
Well, they knocked it out of the park, and I'll even play a little bit of I don't know if insider is the word, but you have Robert Leonard, who is a Discraft sponsored competitor and has been a pretty diehard Discraft guy for a long time. And to know that he's the tournament director, one would just assume there's going to be some form of favoritism or whatever, or maybe a little bit of silly bias that's held and whatnot. And there really wasn't in that. Sounds like Innova made the best possible offer to be more or less the presenting sponsor. Of course, the event and Robert and the rest of the crew doing what's best for the enjoyment of all these players was able to latch on to what they felt was the best offer and opportunity. Innova stepped up in a huge way, offering the USDGC experience by letting you come out and play Rock Hill, the front few holes along with rope out there, and giving you that experience and calling out your name.
A lot of people really enjoyed it.
It's amazing. That's awesome they do that, because it's a ton of work. Letting people come over to the Innova factory, which you and I, who've been there a few times, would almost gasp at the idea that they've eventually now gotten to a point where they're doing that, because they've been understandably very protective of what goes on at the factory. So people were able to come over to the factory. What they set up for the finals and the spectator ropes and the vending area, the vendors very much had a good time at the finals this year. All the extracurriculars, the white water rafting place I mentioned, the training facility, just through and through. I mean, Luke and Alexis and everyone else will tell you the AM Worlds were amazing, and I see so many PDGA staffers there, from Joe Chargoloff, to Vic, and old staffers that come in as marshals. I saw Jason out there, who's worked at the PDGA, but then was brought in as a marshal this year. Just tons of people. I'm not going to name every single person, but just all of the staff, all of the event staff, all of the volunteers, all of the TDs, all of the course preppers, 700 people, 14 countries, all 50 states represented. I can't say enough. It's really awesome to see where our future is and what's going on out there in disc golf. Dalton Slantis specifically, I want to thank you. He's the one that grabbed one of my cameras and ran out to make sure he got all of the advanced men's finals. I was very focused on the advanced women. I'm like, they have a better battle. Luke's too busy running away with this. So I focused on every single shot of the advanced women. Dalton and I then kind of tag team on getting a little bit of 2-camera coverage then on the advanced men. And so thank you to Dalton and Marty Gregoire and just everyone out there. So I think I'm done gushing for now, because and it's not in any way insincere. These guys, just all of them, knocked it out of the park. So hats off to you, Robert Leonard, MTL, as we refer to you, from 20 years ago on the message boards, and all of the staffing crew.
He's still out there on the message boards
Well,
occasionally.
I know, but that's where the nickname comes from. I can't count how many times I said MTL, and people look at me like, huh, who? And that's just how
he knows.
that's how I know. So, all right, good stuff. Thank you guys. Like I said, we got a little bit more info coming at you guys. We'll interact with you on the chat board, as we love to do. We're going to have a giveaway, I believe, as always, during the after show, and
you're saying
just keep things rolling.
It's a hint I should get that ready.
If you want, that's an audible cue for you. You take it or leave it.
Usually leave
some
it.
days you pick up some cues, some days you don't. But either way. All right, guys, we appreciate it, guys and gals, followers, lovers, listeners, haters, everyone in between. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Alexis. Thank you to Luke. Congratulations to all of the competitors, along with all of the people I just referenced, in terms of pulling off such a successful event. It was an honor to be there, and I look forward to many, many more worlds in Charlotte and beyond. So, for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been podcast 206. Stick around for the after show. We've got giveaways and other free stuff, and even more information, as if you didn't get enough. So we'll see you then. You step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 206th After Show. And it becomes a real mouthful to say things like 206ths. That's
You could just
a tough
say
one to spit out.
206. That might be easier.
Then I get all like, oh, I know it's not an O, it's 2, even though I never say
Vernacular is fine.
206. 206.
It's fine.
All right. Well, either way. 200th and... no, never mind. I don't know. Welcome, everyone. This is
Full
the
score.
After Show where things get a little looser, believe it or not. Yes, believe it or not, they can get looser than our regular show.
I thought this show was nice and tight. It was concise. We were well behaved, except for my son upstairs. And now we can let loose.
Yeah, I do feel like, and I
don't always say that.
No, I know. I definitely agree. It isn't always that. But I feel like we had a good jam-packed show. Some info, some good insights from Dana. He seems to be pepping it up a little bit. I think people really like that. And
need more pep out of him, though.
And then catching up with Alexis and Luke, your Am World's champions. Like, I'm super excited. Of course, both first timers on the show, and I'm going to go ahead and say both not last timers. And it's great to have it.
Yeah, I can't gush enough about the amateurs in our sport right now that are becoming professionals, and not just in play or name only. Like, I think you and I are kind of, that are truly becoming some of the face of our sport. I think those two, and I know we only saw one of them, but I think those two women specifically are going to be a force to be reckoned with on the course. I think they're going to continue to hone their game and their skills. Alexis and Valerie, right? Valerie.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, Valerie.
And I think that they are going to be, we're going to see them for years to come. And I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, again, they have 6 world titles between them. They each have 3. 5 of them coming from age-protected junior world championships, and then this year the FA1 division. There's only good things that are going to continue to come from them.
I am going to be the old man for a second here. All right, kids. Go to school. If you have the opportunity, go to college.
Johnny.
And it's for you. College isn't for everybody. Don't get me wrong. If you have the opportunity and there's even a question or a doubt, take the opportunity to go. At least check it out, because it's way easier to go when you're in that mode, right when you get out of high school, to go right and continue with your education, than it is to say, I'm going to get a couple years of golf in and then go back. I guarantee you that probably won't happen. Very rarely does it. If you get the opportunity to go, if it's not for you and you truly think golf is the way to go, by all means, go golf. But just try. There's so many, I think, much like we see so many kids these days, like, I'm going to be a basketball star. I'm going to be a YouTube star. I'm going to be a disc golfer. Those aren't for everybody either. So that's the old man in me saying, kids, do the right thing.
All right. Well, words to live by Johnny V. Maybe. Or not.
No,
all right,
you don't
Johnny.
have to live
Why
by
don't you work? See if you can work the Skypes. I think we have Jason trying to log into our digital green room. Is that a thing?
Well, if he has our Skype
he says
address.
He's tried to add you, but I'm going to go ahead and
I have not.
I sent you another link, and maybe that will work. I don't know if he's trying to use the light version, and that's why it's not coming through like it normally would for us. But in a moment, we'll see if we can get Jason to join us. He's got some information that I think we should all know about.
I don't think so.
He sent me click button stuff things. I don't know. We'll see if we can get it worked out.
Yeah, that's not. This link isn't going to happen.
Huh. He claims that he is trying to send me an invitation. Or if he's using the correct one, let me send a message. I'm just going to stall here for a moment as I type.
All right, we're going to do this. This is exciting news. This is exciting
this is how we do it. You know, here's what I'm going to say also, as we're attempting to have Jason, who we have had on in the past. Huge props to both Luke and Alexis, neither of which we tested with in terms of Skype. Oof. And both of them, boom, on. No big deal. So that was pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to read from the board where all the good information is really found. Nick says, I haven't tuned in live in a while. I usually listen to the podcast later in the week, but the live show somehow looks better nowadays. Well, we do look better. Thank you.
I'm going to take some credit for that.
Okay.
Just this past weekend, I made a few little tweaks and changes to our broadcast, and I kind of bumped up the quality a little bit on the show. And we'll get into that after Jason about why I did that and what's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. But we're just going to have Jason. Jason's in our green room. We just need him to click the video button so we can see him. And once he does that, we can kind of have a little...
Some things you can't take back, Johnny, and you've just asked him to... Never mind. All right. Well, good. Some tech specs and details coming from Johnny. Stay tuned.
Some exciting tech stuff. Jason, we need you to click that little video button so we can see your camera.
Although we enjoy hearing you type. Disc Golf Nerd says, do you have any spare cameras you would sell? Spare is a relative term, maybe. I really like the cameras that I'm currently using. I just bought them a few months ago. I would almost entertain the idea of a slight upgrade to them. And the question then, of course, becomes, well, I've used these for all of 6 months. I have all these great accessories. How much of a loss would I really want to take in selling one or both of them to going to another camera? That's a good question. Maybe we could even talk about that because I think somebody else was looking to upgrade their camera. Maybe my two go in different directions. The one thing that I do love is I have two identical Sonys. They're NXR-X80s. And I love the fact that they're just that. They're identical. So when someone's on throw, someone's on catch, they go out, assuming the settings are the same. Not going to name names for people that don't put the settings the same, but assuming the settings are the same, they are going to give you essentially the exact same look and feel and picture between the two. And that's one thing that's really helped. Graphics, on the other hand, that's another story that we'll get to on another day, but my graphics game's ready to take it up a notch, or 10, or 9. 9 notches on the graphics. All right. Any luck that we have with Jason here?
Oh, he ended the call.
Okay.
I just need him to click the video button.
Sometimes buttons can be a little bit overrated. So if anyone else has anything on the board, Nick says in reference to us looking a little better, he says, "Oh, I take that back." Okay, Nick.
So close.
So close. Jason is seemingly getting closer as he's sending me a message. Hey, Sean. Sean says, turning the graphics up to 11. I'd like to get the graphics to like a 6 and then maybe get them to an 8 or a 9. Then we'll worry about 11s. But yes, we'd love to get there. Christy Moore is on the board. And Christy earlier was talking a little bit about, maybe why the PDGA site, was or wasn't challenged today. But it's kind of funny, Christy, because one of the things that you said, there's only 30,000 members. If everyone goes out and checks theirs, what kind of traffic does that halt? But then you followed it up and said, because I obviously don't believe all 30,000 active members are out there searching today, or even the other 80,000 inactive members are all searching necessarily today. But it's funny because you followed it up and you said, well, yeah, I checked mine, I checked my girlfriend's, and I checked the person I mentor. And then I think, okay, well, that's 3 queries right there. And if those other 2 people then queried the same 3 people, there's 9 queries among the 3 of you. So I think that's one way that there can just be a lot. I can't imagine. I'd love to see the spike on the server, just a little graph of it. The spike on the server, maybe even Steve Gans over at the PDGA would share it with us one day with some nondescript info, other than just showing like, okay, ratings go live, there's an announcement that the ratings are live, and then just see the spike on the servers when that exactly hits. I think that would be really entertaining to see.
Hold on. All right.
All right. It sounds like he might have a challenge with his iPhone saying poor connection.
Well, the connection should be, I mean, the connection, but we still need the video. Just those camera
Maybe
button.
if it's not, but if it's a poor enough connection, maybe it's not even offering the video as an option.
I mean, that could be.
That would be my guess right now. All right.
So until we get his video, I mean, we can just bring him on in audio if we want.
Yeah, that might be the solution here in a moment if we can't make it work. Ryan says, let me know if you could use a morning volunteer for the next gen. I can be there at the crack of dawn, but have to leave by 12:30. Ryan, you're my guy. I'd like to, there is actually a few minor things that I'd be really interested in talking to you about. So let's connect offline, maybe immediately following the show. It's really gracious of you to volunteer some time both Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
But no, I do have actually a proposition to throw your way. So I do appreciate you seriously reaching out. Luke Hainwell, I'm assuming from out in Janesville, says, do you feel that we get enough ratings updates twice a month, or are you satisfied with the current format? Here's what I'll say before we get to Jason, who looks ready. Chuck has very much given some very in-depth reasoning for why the ratings are released as frequently as they are. And it's like a lot of things. I would have never have thought about his reasons, but when I read them, they make perfect sense to me. So I would defer to finding one of those posts, which maybe I could find or ask of Chuck myself and send to you. But he's given some very, very insightful, very logical reasons as to why the ratings are released as frequently as they are and what that means. Because a lot of people say, well, we have all the data. Why aren't we seeing them weekly? He's told us exactly why. It doesn't make sense. And if you read his logic, to me, it makes perfect sense as to why they're not updated a lot more frequently. All right. Speaking of updates and phones and things that work on the internets, I think we've got Jason Wilder here. What's going on, buddy? Oh, gosh, now we don't have audio. Jason.
Oh, hold on.
That might be us. Hold on, Jason.
It shouldn't be. It's probably on him. Because the audio worked with the other two.
The audio worked with our other two tonight.
Other two guests.
That's so funny that we had all these problems with video, and then so I'm guessing he can hear us.
Yeah,
he can hear us just fine. He says, "Does that have anything to do with the Bluetooth speakers or earphones you have in, or anything like that? Maybe no, I'm just guessing, or maybe your Bluetooth doesn't work with Skype. Is that a possibility? Some like the microphone, Bluetooth speakers.
That could be,
and an iPhone. I'm just spitballing here.
Or maybe
what if you rip out your headphones out of the jack and then just or no, maybe they're Bluetooth.
Yeah, if they're Bluetooth, there's no ripping out.
I would disconnect your headphone set from your computer or your phone.
He's taking it off now.
I got that. This is like a really awkward striptease. Stop right there, Jason.
Yeah.
Now, disconnect your headphones. Is that possible? Johnny's going to assure that it's not us, because it could be. No,
it's not. No, it's not us. See,
what were you saying about how tight our regular show was? Okay, maybe not. Is there another way to do this? No,
there is. Maybe. I mean, if I can send him the vMix option.
Does he have it muted? Is there any chance that he's got the microphone, the X on the microphone? Is this a Geek Squad commercial?
This is what I do all day. This is my life. Today I walked someone through plugging in a printer. They just moved offices, which is why I was in Minocqua yesterday, and the printer moved today. And she's like, I can't print. Like, did you guys plug it in? Well, the power's on. I'm like, yeah, but did you plug in the network? They're like, yeah. I'm like, remember when I told you had to do that? They're like, oh. That's what they.
Well, here's the funny thing: is we did hear him typing before in ours, so
Correct.
we know there was.
We heard him before when we didn't have video. Now we see him, but no audio.
Oh, gosh, the internet's can be a really tough place to hang out.
It's the mean streets today. The mean streets.
All right, so let's start spitballing here, Johnny. What is the chances of taking a regular old phone call to some service or device? Is that an option for us here on these fancy setups we have?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I wonder. I'm gonna send something to you.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Bizarro world is for sure. All right, Christy says, I think there are some schools that give small scholarships now, not any full rides. And I think that's in response to Sean, who had said, Johnny, what is your thought on colleges offering disc golf scholarships? Do you think this will ever happen? I don't know why it wouldn't.
If disc golf gets big enough, then I don't see why it wouldn't. Right now, I think we're still years away from that.
But to exclusively bring someone in to represent or play disc golf for a college?
I don't think. I mean, let's look at how many golf scholarships there are. There's probably not a ton.
I bet you there's more than we think, but I don't know what that number is. And by a ton, do you mean like there's 10,000 given out a year or 500 given out a year? I
don't know.
I wonder if there's a thing called Google that we could check. I'd be curious, and I don't think I'm going to get a real number. I'd be curious to know how many college golf?
And on the board saying two things. It was great to have the Manduanos on, and Ready Player One was a great movie. I'm going to agree with one of those. I think Ready Player One was an okay movie.
What is that?
It is a great book. It was an okay movie. It's just a movie about the future and virtual reality and how things like that. There was a lot of references to kind of 80s culture and movies and things like that. It was a good movie. It wasn't great. It was just good. I'm gonna go on. The 8 hours worth of driving I got yesterday, I listened to the book called The Naturalist by Andrew Mayne. It's a book about a serial killer and a guy trying to catch him, and a little bit nerdy, and it was enjoyable. So no, Terry, you wouldn't like it.
No, I didn't even have to ask. That was pretty obvious.
Well, one of the things I do want to talk about tonight, and hopefully maybe we'll get Jason on in a second here, is talk a little bit about Pro Worlds. I am, and maybe even Ledgestone and MVP Open. I'm working with the company that we use to do the broadcasting of our signal from the camera to the server. It's a company called Teradek. I reached out to them a couple weeks ago and I said, hey, you guys wrote a big, nice article about us. That's awesome. By chance, I know you guys got some new devices in. Do you happen to have maybe a demo unit that you could use of your new one that gives a better signal at half the bandwidth? And they were like, we do.
We do?
We do. So ultimately, I'm working with Teradek, and I just got a FedEx shipping notice that says that they're shipping them out, and we should hopefully have, I don't know if we're going to have time to get it rolled out for Ledgestone or not. I need to do some configuration on them. These new units, which use newer codecs, basically a better way to compress the video, and it's going to be half the bandwidth at the same amount of quality or better. So ultimately, we should get a better video signal from the events that we use these at. And we're only, quote unquote, obligated to use them for Worlds. That's what we worked on them. But I think if I'm lucky, we're going to be able to use these for Ledgestone and MVP, and then we have to return them after Worlds. So I'm really excited that we're going to be able to use this new technology to make our video signal that much better, which is why I said on our broadcast that we might be looking a little better. I was tweaking some settings that I think I had changed in the past, and I bumped up the quality of which we're pushing out a broadcast.
Okay, so you may see crisper and cleaner
video from, like I said, if I can get it out and get them configured, if they can come in before the weekend, and I can configure these to give them to you before you leave for Ledgestone, that is the goal, so we can use these at Ledgestone. If not, then the first place we will probably use them will be the MVP Open.
All right. Well, and
So
Sean
look-
says, fantastic. Sounds like you guys are stepping up the live game. And we appreciate that, Sean. But there's one thing, if maybe it's an old drum to beat, but where we are now versus what could potentially be the next step, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, of course, we feel like we're trying to do the best we can within the reasonable budgets with the technology that is currently afforded and available. And what we're hoping is there's going to be a technology gap that starts to close a little bit or catch up maybe that's still within our reasonable budgeting area somewhat. And I hear Jason now. That's within our reasonable budget, but then is also significantly increasing in terms of the technology and the quality. So I think that's a crossroad where we're at right now. It's just kind of waiting.
We're kind of waiting.
Things like 5G could be crucial to really stepping up signal and the quality that's available. So,
and the 2 units that they're sending us are each about $5,000. I had to give them a credit card. I had to make sure that we are prepared in case anything happens to these. Plus, I'm working with another company to do a test on a different type of unit that connects up through the cell phones. You might have seen a post about me looking for a Pixel. I think the Pro Tour has me set up. So
awesome.
Now, without any further delay.
Oh my gosh. So easy. No problems whatsoever. Jason Wilder.
It's just technology.
It really is just technology.
Speaking of those technology crossroads, here we are, buddy. All right, Jason, good to see you, buddy. I believe one of the last times we saw you or talked to you here on the show, I know you work quite often with our friends over at Zuka, who continue to just knock it out of the park and being huge supporters of everything disc golf. We saw the junior competition, or I'm sorry, the junior bags, or the junior sized bags, maybe is a better way to put it, the smaller carts, the compact carts at Junior Worlds. We've seen them, of course, released in very special quantities for the Pro Tour. And I saw plenty of carts at AM Worlds this last weekend. And Zuka continues to do big things for the Pro Tour, for the PDGA, for the players, for ambassadors, for tournaments, and everyone. But you don't have Zuka news tonight. Maybe we can get on it, touch on some of their updates later. But what do you know? What do you got for us?
Well, there could be some Zuka news if you want to touch on that later.
As soon as they send us a check, we'll talk about it. No, just kidding. No, we wholeheartedly would love some Zuka news. We'll touch on that. But what do we have that's a little bit more in the forefront?
A little bit more in the forefront. Most people out there, and if not most, many remember that National Disc Golf Day is coming up this Saturday.
Ooh.
First Saturday in August each year. For the last 2 years, this will be year number 3, I believe.
I think I know the answer, but tell us, how does National Disc Golf Day come to existence in the first place?
Well, there's a bit of a sordid story behind it. Obviously, I'm sure, like many things in disc golf, everybody kind of has an idea. Oh, that'd be so cool if we did X. That'd be so cool if we did Y. It just so happened that I had that thought in my head and approached Mike Downs and Marty Gregoire at the 2016 GBO and said, "Hey, I'm serious about this. I've done a little bit of research. I'd like to put some real hustle behind the muscle." And they said, "Tell you what, email us and we'll talk to you after GBO." And come to find out, Sarah Nicholson, who at the time was, I believe, the PDGA memberships manager, had also been working in similar fashion, because she also had the idea. And we ended up merging efforts. The research I had done, the research she had done, we put our heads together and finally got it on paper.
Wow. And that's a matter of reaching out to a global organization of people that.
So the National Day organization is a company that has a process by which they recognize National whatever day. There's quite a few criteria that you have to meet in order to be eligible for them to recognize you. So there's a number of steps involved. There's obviously a fee involved. And once you pass all those milestones or check marks or whatnot, they officially recognize you. And their organization is really good about promoting national days, both in print media, web media, commercial spots. A lot of the radio stations and the broadcasting companies out there, a lot of the different shows that are on radio, do it as part of their programming to kind of make a fun mention of what day it is. Like it's National Beer Day, it's National Donut Day. And we're very serious and passionate about our disc golf, so we wanted there to be a National Disc Golf Day.
Well, what else shares, we'll say, the first Saturday in August? Because I know it's not necessarily, some are specific dates and some are then, specific marks on a calendar, I assume. What shares, do you know those off the top of your head? I see you researching.
I don't.
I like
you are putting me on the spot.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll give you a moment. I was just curious as to, I'm sure in this case, August 4th shares with certain things, but I'll say a little bit more generically, the first Saturday in August, what else gets shared with our
That is
national?
A good question. I'm looking it up as we speak because
Okay.
I'm curious now. I want to know.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say, you mentioned the term milestone, and I'll put myself on blast. It seems
Homemade Pie Day celebrated on August 1st.
It seems kind of, I don't know if coincidental is maybe the better word more than ironic. So this Saturday is National Disc Golf Day. The first Saturday in August this year is the 4th. I am running the Next Gen tournament, so I'm running an event, but then it also happens to fall on my 40th birthday. And I guess if there's one thing that I find fitting is that I'm hosting a disc golf tournament on my birthday, which is National Disc Golf Day.
I think in academic circles they call that ironical.
Okay. There's some Venn diagram somewhere. Maybe we could draw one of those somewhere. I'm sick of painting circles, but no. It's awesome. I think that's great that that it's going down. Or I don't know if it's great that I'm getting older. But either
so
way.
to answer your question, the first Saturday in August is also National Jamaican Patty Day. I don't know what a Jamaican patty is.
Who doesn't?
It's also National Mustard Day.
Oh, well, okay. And that's the first Saturday in August?
First Saturday in August.
Okay.
But specifically August 4th is also National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Who doesn't like chocolate chip cookies?
Heck yeah.
And then National Coast Guard Day is also August 4th. Shout out to our fifth branch of the military and government organizations.
Okay.
That's great.
Sounds good to me. Cookies, Coast Guard, mustard. I do like mustard. I like cookies. Coast Guard, I don't have any problems with them. So,
right?
Yeah. Sounds good. So what is National Disc Golf Day? What is that? What should that mean? What does that mean to manufacturers, to players, to promoters, to casual players? What should that mean for all of us?
That's a really good question, and I think the answer is incredibly subjective. I know for myself, and when Sarah and I talked about this, part of the vision behind National Disc Golf Day is that no one manufacturer, no one club, no one organization, nobody really should claim ownership, management, or direction of National Disc Golf Day. It should be an observance that we all can share in our own way, kind of like some, different national holidays. 4th of July, a lot of people do fireworks and picnics and whatever else. But really it's doing something disc golf related, whether it's taking a new friend out, playing in a tournament yourself, running a tournament. It could be anything, but really it's meant to be more of an organic, community-driven, however you choose to celebrate is great, because like many things in most businesses, in most communities, if the dollar is driving it, it can get a little wonky. And National Disc Golf Day should be something that is clean, pure, and just enjoyable for everybody without the influence of the almighty dollar.
Well, and if you're really on top of your game, you go out and either utilize or create a disc charger on a bench. So, okay, no, don't do that. I'm totally kidding. Absolutely don't do that. But seriously, I love your description, and that go out. It means it can mean anything you want to, any given individual. If that means that's the day you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to bring 5 new kids out to play, or I'm going to take a scout troop out, or I'm going to go teach it at the senior citizen center that given day.
Wear the polo of the local club or tournament. Just try to acknowledge the sport.
Yeah,
and really, certainly we want people to celebrate it however they choose to, but it's a good conversation starter that you can use to do something other than just play yourself or go play a tournament, because you can do that all year round, whatever. But to take a day out of your disc golf schedule and do something to try and promote or grow the game outside of your immediate sphere of influence that you normally are in with disc golf is kind of the idea. Companies have gotten behind it. I know last year Innova had a great graphic that they published. I know Dynamic Disc put out one. I think Discraft also recognized it, and I've encouraged anybody and everybody I've run into, hey, let's keep the momentum going and keep National Disc Golf Day alive and growing, so that we can have another date on the calendar that we get to celebrate throughout the year.
Well, here's my call out. Since Johnny and I barely know how to work computers, if somebody wants to make an incorporated National Disc Golf posting for us, or image or logo or whatever that's appropriately sized for SmashBoxx/Facebook, or SmashBoxx Facebook, would gladly put it up. So if there's somebody, and there are plenty of people more skilled and talented with graphics, we'd love to put one up. It's a great idea. What are you going to do? I'm going to put you on the spot. What are you doing?
I've got a local 9-hole course that I call kind of the executive 9-hole course of disc golf near me. And there's going to be a little bit of time that I'm going to try and get out there and just be available to teach, beginners or kids that are on the course, because it's a busy course. And I see a lot of kids that, could use a couple of extra pointers. I'm a little bit on a shorter leash this week, unfortunately, because I did go to Am Worlds, and literally the weekend before Am Worlds, I ran my first B tier here in Minneapolis. My first 2-day B tier, ran that, and then on Monday morning I got on a plane and flew to Charlotte and was there all week. So another day of disc golf in near vicinity to being pretty much off the grid for 10 days is
it's tough,
but I'm going to try and carve out a couple hours.
Good, I like it. Well, and Chris Young is on the board, of course, this weekend, and I'm sorry, almost sorry. I've got other obligations already that are going to pull me away from the idea of being at the United States Junior Disc Golf Championships, which is very appropriately then taking place here the first weekend in August, as they'll be out there at Smuggler's Notch and Kids Disc Golf, and along with Smuggler's Notch putting that on. So best of luck to you, Chris. I see you out on the board. And I'm looking forward to hearing more information about that event as it unfolds here this year.
Yeah, I know Josh and Matt Graham have put a lot of time into that event, so really hoping for success for them.
Yeah, I have to assume everything's going to be just great out there, and excited to get out there for Worlds. So as an ambassador and a conduit with and for Zuka and the disc golf world, what do we know in that world? What can you share with us? Give us some exclusives here on SmashBoxx.
Well, for those who were not at Am Worlds and did not hear the news, we exercised another iteration of the Zuka bonus. Zuka donated custom limited edition disc golf carts, embroidered disc golf carts with white frames to all the divisional winners out at Am Worlds. So that ended up being 9 carts, plus 3 additional carts that were given to Robert Leonard and his staff to distribute to what he felt were deserving volunteers for the effort. And they've got another iteration of the Zuka bonus that they want to do for Masters Worlds in Kansas City, with Scott Reek TDing that event.
Very nice. Cool. So,
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so they continue to support, which I mean,
no surprise.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Zuka's knocking it out right now.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe backtrack just for a moment, maybe only because I know the story, but some people have said, "Oh, I really want Zuka to sponsor me, or I want to get on Team Zuka, or whatever." And Zuka's taken a somewhat different approach from what we see from most of the disc manufacturers in terms of how they're supporting disc golf and whom and the events and whatnot. And you just mentioned just that, the Zuka bonus. What does that mean for the world? And if they're sitting at home thinking, man, I just hope Zuka calls me tomorrow and sponsors me, maybe set everyone straight.
Sure. So Zuka, to give a little bit of history, the CEO of Zuka actually used to work for Easton, the makers of baseball bats, softball bats, hockey sticks, and lots of other sports equipment. So he had a pretty extensive, background and experience in sponsoring teams and players and whatnot. So that's a little bit of the history, but also just how they see the sport and how they see themselves in the sport as a company. They just felt like they could be more effective and more inclusive if they just left themselves a little bit more flexible and fluid to be able to support tours or tournaments or do giveaways, but also for individual players, instead of technically sponsoring people, they've provided carts to a lot of pro players, amateur players, just recreational players to offer feedback and kind of be their test market for new products or just to support players, without necessarily all the ties and contracts and everything else that goes with a sponsorship. They just said, if you're interested in a Zuka cart and we think it's a good relationship and a good fit and whatnot, then we're just going to give you a cart, going to give you some accessories. And I know we've done that, or they've done that rather with a lot of people. So, they aren't giving carts away to everybody, but at the same time, they just have felt that it's easier for them to do that, just to do it and not have any expectations on either side moving forward.
Yeah. So, and by that, you're not going to go out to Zuka's website and see Team Zuka, disc golf Team Zuka or whatever. And I like that they are keeping it fluid. And like you said, I think that really helps manage the expectations and doesn't get anyone maybe worked up about, this level of sponsorship or that level, so on and so forth. I think you can see some of that challenge that takes place on other manufacturer teams. So definitely.
Yep. And it's so far it's gone really well, and it allows them to basically stay friends with everybody. Because, when you start drawing lines, now granted, disc golf is a big family, especially in the higher levels. Everybody kind of works together. You would hope so anyway, but Zuka realizes that 95% of their market is not the top pro players. So for them to worry about sponsoring people, it's not in the forefront of their business plan.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. I
agree.
If there's anything that I've taken away from it, it would be they don't need to sponsor players individually, because what they have done, and I assume they'll continue to do, the way that they have just broadly supported, like you said, tournaments and tours and fundraisers and all of those other things and unique situations, they're just killing it. Like, they're doing a great job, and I think they should just I applaud them and hope they just keep doing what they're doing. It seems like it's a really good model.
And as disc golfers in the disc golf community, it's one thing to have a cool product and whatnot, but one of the things that I've had multiple conversations with Zuka about is disc golfers in many respects will put respect and the sense of community above a number of other things. And that doesn't mean you can sell a crappy product as long as you're good friends, but Zuka understands that to come in and just try and make money off the disc golf community is not going to go over well. So they've decided that they're going to be a partner to the game and the sport on just as many levels as they possibly can.
And yeah, and to speak to that, that's exactly it. When you see them at a Pro Tour stop, the Zuka Trust and everything they do with the Pro Tour, and then the very next weekend, I'm at a National Tour stop, and they're supporting and doing something there, and then the next weekend I'm at an A tier, and they're supporting an A tier at that level, and the next weekend you see a B tier is getting supported by them with relation to some kind of prizes or giveaway or fundraising opportunity. I see it at every single level, and that completely backs up and echoes what you're saying. So it's very cool to see.
So it's fun to be a part of. It's fun to see the growth. I mean, they've really only been in the sport. This is kind of their third year, and just to see how well, not only the kart revolution is being, accepted by the community, but Zuka as a company, just the relationships and the branding and whatnot. It's fun to see, because as we saw, you guys remember the transition we all made from shoulder bags with backpack straps to the grip style bag, the backpack bag. And we had a number of years of the backpack bag, and now we've kind of transitioned to karts as a trend, if you will. And, who knows where it goes from here. But Zuka's definitely been able to be a part of that transition.
Well, I mean, if you're a YouTuber, you at all or pay attention, everybody's trying to get on the one wheel bandwagon. So I think the motorized one wheel is maybe it's not our next step, but it would be funny.
It's not.
I'd love to see a bunch of people trying one wheels out on the course. I saw one at Am Worlds, which also made me think of it as that would be a funny way for us to get around.
I'm thinking George Jetson.
There you go.
I was thinking disc golf dogs.
Yeah.
A little animal that you put all your discs on and they come along.
Yeah. Except for the current illegalities, but
allowed.
But we could find another way to do it. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to share? I mean, of course, I appreciate the insights, not just from Zuka, but obviously the National Disc Golf Day. Anything else you need to share with us, whether it's Midwestern or beyond?
Football season is just around the corner.
Sorry for Minnesota fans, but
they just re-signed their number one wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, for 5 additional years.
Oh, I was going to.
So
speaking of sponsoring players and dealing with hurt feelings, Adam Thielen had better stats and signed 4 years, $22 million. Stephon Diggs had lesser stats, but signed for 5 extra years for $81 million.
Yeah, but
explain that to me.
Wasn't Diggs hurt though? I mean,
no. Well, pardon me. Yes, that he was a little dinged up, and that did affect his stats. But $60 million difference between two guys that are both pretty effective.
Huh. I don't know. Where's that "show me the money" meme I was talking about earlier? Gotta get those out.
I know.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate all the info. When am I going to see you next? I feel like you've fallen off. I haven't seen you every weekend this year, but pretty close. Where am I going to see you next?
I've seen you quite a bit. Yeah, I probably you're not coming. Well, you're going to be in Lemon Lake. You're not coming to the Cedar Creek Open.
Pro Masters Worlds. Will you be down there at all, Scott and the rest of the crew?
I'm not planning on it at this time. I am. You're not going to the NorCal Series Championships in October.
Probably not.
I don't know. I've got a kind of a lighter schedule at the end of the year here. I don't know.
I thought so too, and then every other week I get another message. Hey, are you available? Are you available? And I'm not complaining. I'm very blessed that people are requesting any services. So
yeah.
All right, pal. Well, Jason, we appreciate it. We appreciate, like I said, the insights and the info. And everybody go out there and celebrate in your own way and then some on National Disc Golf Day this Saturday. And go out and get yourself a Zuka cart.
Yeah, keep the momentum going. National Disc Golf Day is on Instagram and Facebook. Get your pictures out there of whatever you choose to do so that we can share the experience with everybody.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the work.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Again, Jason Wilder out of Minnesota. What do you think about the the Vikings this year?
I think that they're going to be a very good team. I think they've got
better than the Packers.
I can't say that. No.
Okay.
I mean, here's what it's going to come down to.
If you were a Vikings fan, would you say that? Because you just said you can't say that.
No,
if you were a Vikings
but I
fan,
would say that they think that they are as good as us.
Okay.
Because they've got a solid core of wide receivers. They just got Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, younger than Aaron Rodgers. He's not as good as Rodgers, but and they have Rudolph as their tight end and a decent defense. The Packers, I think, have better offensive weapons, 2 good tight ends, and Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what. And the Vikings have a good running back, young guy if he can stay healthy.
Do they still have that guy that beats kids?
No, Adrian Peterson. I believe he officially retired.
Oh, okay.
He was.
His kids must be thrilled.
Spend more time at home. I don't know if he officially retired or he's
savage.
just. Or he's just
I don't think
to
child abuse is funny. What I don't approve of is child abuse. So, Adrian Peterson, I'm looking at you. All right. DJ Kento says, shout out to Tom and Courtney in St. Helens, Oregon. Thank you.
All right, DJ Kento.
We appreciate it. That's our first and only super chat of the night. I'm not going to complain or call you guys out, but that's our first and only super chat of the night. All right. I think, speaking of which, we're going to start wrapping things up. But first, we have some Patreon action.
So, as many of you know, we do a Patreon giveaway every week. That's how you can support the show. For as little as $1 a month, you can give money to SmashBoxxTV, and we can do wonderful things like spend time contacting these different companies about getting their equipment for demo and use, and maybe hopefully someday buying them. But for those of you who have donated to this week, we've
got options, is what we have, and
that always works out well for everybody.
It really does. Here's why. Last week I showed you guys, and we sidelined it. I got a brand new order of discs in. There we go. With my Tear Bear stamp. Some of you really like it. They're only exclusively through me at the moment. So if you're a Discraft fanatic, I've got an Undertaker here ready for you. If not, my other big sponsor, supporter this last weekend, came in by the likes of our pals over at Legacy, Steve and Bomba Rico. I really appreciate you guys supporting the video blogs this weekend. So if you're a Discraft fan, I can get you a Discraft disc. If you're a Legacy fan, I'll get you a Legacy disc that will have a Disc Golf Guide logo on it, a slightly different one. So all you got to do is tell me, and I will grab one or the other brands and send it out to you. So Sean Grew also chimes in with a super chat. We just got to beg for it, apparently. We appreciate it. He says, awesome job, as usual. You must not listen too often, Sean. But seriously. All right, Johnny V is going to pull up our Patreon list.
All right.
And we will dig through them and see what we can find. Thank you, DJ Kento. Peace out. And same to you, Disc Golf Nerd. We appreciate it. Are we going to see something from Disc Golf Nerd one of these days? Is he doing reviews?
I think he's been kind of busy with switching jobs and things like that, but he'll get us something, I'm sure.
All right,
we have 200 on the dot patrons.
I could understand how you'd hate Rodgers just being like the best quarterback. I'm not going to say he's the best of all time. I think that's a stupid statement. But yeah, I could see how you don't like Rodgers if he's not on your team. Dad's drunk.
Even though he's like an awesome guy in general, like a human being. And
yeah, I could see that.
And he's dating Danica Patrick. So all right, let's give a number. I'm going to do number 3.
Yeah, you are.
All right, so it's going to be our third one. 1, 2, and the third number is
the excitement is killing me. 153.
That is Steve Harmeyer.
Steve Harmeyer is a Wisconsin resident, and I believe a long-time giver.
He is.
So, Steve, you just made a fraction of your money back.
Once again, we want to thank everybody for supporting us. We couldn't do what we're doing without you. So
yes, thank you, Steve, who's donated well over $2,000. Just kidding, he didn't. But it would be great if you did. So
we wouldn't turn it down if he did.
No, but seriously, we really do appreciate each and every one of you. Jeremy Stewart says, "Damn it,
Dad's drunk." You're close to getting a little timeout action.
Uh-oh.
Terrible leader and teammate. Wrong. His teammates love him. He's a great leader. Our problem is we haven't A, had a running back until last year, and B, we haven't had a defense, like none. It has nothing to do with Rodgers as a person, and Aaron Rodgers is a disc golfer. So that gives him just a little extra bonus. It has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. There's a reason why most of his teammates absolutely love the guy.
Not according to Dad's Drunk.
He's wrong.
Doesn't matter. No, he didn't donate $2,000, but he could. Maybe next week. The slump is strong, Jeremy says. Hey, there's one easy way to break that slump, Jeremy. I guarantee you a win of a disc if you send me money on Facebook, and then a disc will magically appear if you send the right enough money. In all seriousness, we do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to yet another great month. We've got a lot of live disc golf coming up in the next, 4 or 5 weeks. Of course, Ledgestone. We've got Maple Hill. We've got Worlds around the corner. We'll have a short break, and then we'll be back to bring you the Tour Championships in October. So at least 4 large-scale live broadcasts to bring you guys yet, in addition to all our silly little podcasts.
I am so excited about this new equipment we're getting. I can't talk enough about it.
Johnny can't wait for a package. All right. We are calling it a night for Johnny V and myself, along with Jason Wilder, and the efforts from him and Cyril Nicholson. Thank you guys so much for National Disc Golf Day. Go out and enjoy it. Please tag us. Let us know what you're doing on National Disc Golf Day. Hit up the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Vines, the Grinders, whatever you got to do. Just let everyone know you've got some disc golf on your mind. So for all you guys, Johnny and myself, Terry, that's episode 206 after show. We'll catch you next week. You step inside the Smash Box.